two bigs, 10-5 suited, all in. And then now it runs out next hand blunder. So I guess we're just supposed to fold their two bigs when everyone else has two bigs. Under the gun, 25, king 9 suited. We're going to raise. And you can go through, and then on the left-hand side here, you'll see how many hands you've done and what your GTO wizard score is. So you can even just practice, even if you don't have a HUD like I do with the poker tracker that I use to go through my hands, tag hands and everything. You can even still get a ton of value from the GTO wizard just from the training. And then you can even click over here, I believe, and study your hands. Click this, and then you could replay the hand. You could share pictures. There's a ton of cool things that you can do. Don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but this is such an easy program to use to get better at the game. So !GTOW. And if you have any questions, like I said, up until I leave for the WSOP, which is going to be about 3 weeks or so is when I leave. Every week I will be doing these study streams. So make sure that you're following me on my social medias. I'll make posts about it. I will schedule my study streams about a week in advance so that you can set aside time and then join me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What's up, Chuck Nola? Good to see you out there, buddy. What's up, Pistol Pete? Hope you're having a blessed day as well. What's up, Bye for Lex? Yes. Trying to educate and share my poker experiences with you all is important to me. It's fun. And it's like, we're kind of, you know, outside of things we have outside of poker. Even that though, still, a lot of us were just kind of sharing the journey, man, you know? So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in today. And let's get into it. So I was trying to decide where I wanted to focus my studies today. Oh, also, if you want to use Poker Tracker 4, !HUD in the chat. This just gathers my hands while I'm playing online, and then I can organize them and study them in different ways. And these tags here on the left of these hands are when I'm playing, if I'm kind of unsure of a spot, I want to study it later. I have several different tags. You could see this little shark, this little money bag, the question mark. I use these different tags so I know what part of my game I want to study, pre-flop, post-flop, all-in situation. And then I go through and I review them here. So these are my most recent hands, and I decided I want to look at the big blind. I'm doing, I would say, above average in a lot of the other situations, quite easy, but it seems like I need to lose less from the big blind. All of us were going to be losing from the blinds. It's really just a matter of, can we manage those losses, right? So this is a situation that we come across all the time playing in the big blind, and you know, we already got a blind out there. We're going to be facing a min raise a lot of the time. It's just a situation where we just gather a large sample of hands. So we're going to focus on that again. I think that can be the most impactful for our game with 1 month to go before heading out to the WSOP. And also, ACR has the OSS XL series going on. It starts this Sunday. So basically this month too is a bunch of big ACR tournaments leading up to the summer WSOP. So, you know, how can we put something together, grow our game, and be able to utilize it here pretty right away. What's up, MCKB? Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Deluxey? So how do I know I'm above average? So looking at my big blinds per 100 here, my sample isn't huge on this poker tracker, but basically you see these positions right here that are in green. This means that I'm winning chips over this sample in the HUD. And then you see the red backgrounds that are on small blind, big blind. That means that I'm losing here. Right, so like I think 8 big blinds per 100 is really kind of good. 10 big blinds per 100 tournaments. I actually I don't really have a range. I wouldn't be able to give you a range of what like a good big blind per 100 is, but in these positions here, the reason I say above average is these definitely seem to be on the higher side. My EP seems like it could be low. I don't really dig into these stats much, so I can't really give too solid of an idea, but I do believe losing in this sample the 29 big blinds per 100 in the big, it just has to be a ton of room for improvement, right? Carney, WSOP LA appearance. Maybe. I mean, it's close. I'll be on that side of the states. You know, definitely could be a possibility. All right. So let me see here. Deluxe, you know what? I wouldn't be able to say which I prefer, big blind per 100. I just know that when people talk about situations from those who are much more understanding on that statistic, they use BB per 100. I never hear anyone talk about EVBB per 100. So it just doesn't seem like I would want to focus on that either if no one's utilizing it. I couldn't tell you the difference between the two. You know, what to look for. I can't really utilize that to have any sort of higher conversation. Personally, me. All right, so here we go. Here's the first hand that I have tagged, and these are all from, let me see. Oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh, this is from, wow, this is from last year, these hands. Let me see when, hang on a second. I had my thing sorted weird. I'm going to replay all hands and report because these are more recent. I don't think that we've gone through these ones. Let me see. Okay, hang on. Okay, yeah, I don't think that we've gone through these ones. These are from the 21st, is this right? Okay, so these are semi-recent. Let's see. Deluxey, by the way, if you go through, if you do utilize those stats, I'd be curious if you'd like to share how you better your game by digging into some of these non-common stats. Let's think just regular population of people. Like, how would you utilize a stat like BB per 100, EV BB per 100, and then where does that backtrack you to better your game? You know. Let's see. So we have here a hand. Mr. J-Bay, is this? Did we go over this one? I don't think we did. Let me see here. Because I don't want to go over hands that we've already looked at on the last stream. Okay, I don't recall going over this one. Let's go ahead and check these hands out. Do I prefer playing in person or online? I actually just got asked this question last night when I was at the club and the poker club. And I like a mix of probably 50-50, I would say. I grew up playing online and came up in poker through online. But since 2021, I started to put more of an emphasis. I even started doing live poker vlogs. So I made myself get off online and play live. And I really have grown to love it, and it stimulates me differently, especially these days. So I like a mix of it. I feel like I don't want to just play online or just play live. I always want to be back and forth between the two. What about you, Lashia? That's a good question, Carney. Let me get through this hand and I'm going to come back to that. So don't go anywhere. We're going to dig into that, okay? The difference between premium and elite, because I'm going to have to dig in. And for those watching this stream back or even watching it now, I want to get into a couple hands and I'm going to get back to that. So let me rip through this. I want to see what you guys think. So we defend big blind with 7-8 suited, 30 big blinds deep. They bet and I call. And then check, they bet again, I hit a pair, and I decide to go all in. Okay, so let's see. Well, what happens with them, I think, is less relevant right now. I'm not gonna click forward, I'm just gonna keep it here. What do you guys think of this play here on the turn? The check jam. It feels like if they're bluffing here, the value of me getting it all in is denying them equity when they have king 10 and king jack and maybe jack 10, hands that would raise pre here, bet flop, bet turn, because I'm not getting an ace to fold, right? So what's the value of me going all in? And in the event that they do have an ace and I end up getting called, like I'm trying to get a bunch of folds here, I believe is the primary function. And then the secondary thing that's going to happen is when I do run into an ace that they're never folding, then I do have some insurance. As long as they obviously don't have a full house, I have the insurance of my diamond draw. And maybe if they happen to be a player that bets a queen here twice, then now I can get them to fold some weak queens potentially. Maybe they have like a queen 9 suited that they might fold, maybe a queen 10 suited. I think king queen suited, especially if it's clubs, is going to be just people aren't folding it. So yeah, let's see if this is a good play, because honestly, before I even saw myself jam, my instinct was, I definitely felt an instinct and a pull to just call. So I would imagine this is, and this is what the studying is for now. This is actually exactly, in my opinion, the strongest, one of the strongest things that you can take away from studying here and just feeling this is having more certainty over, oh, okay, which should I feel like I'm on the fence here about, like what I like. I have one instinct going call, I have one instinct going all in, and calibrating that and figuring out, okay, so where should I kind of set my radar here? Should I be mostly looking to call, or should I be mostly looking to jam in this situation, right? And then depending on whether or not I'm playing live poker or online, I'll adjust that slightly, I would say, depending on my opponents, because live poker is definitely different than online. Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely a adjustment from online to live, and I can definitely get bored easier. It's weird. It kind of depends, because it's a different stimulation now for me between live poker and online. Like sometimes live poker is too slow. Sometimes it's the perfect stimulation, and online can be a bit redundant when I'm six tabling and it's kind of a lot of the same decisions with no players, so that there's no like, oh, this person looks different. Oh, I wonder what this type of person is doing, you know? All right, so here we go. The action is in. And it has, so what I want to look at here, the low jack double barreled turn in this example. And then I went all in. So let, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's good to see everyone.
Poker RB challenge. I have to get fake Mr. Commanders, and I won one of those. How did you win a competition?
What do we got here? Fourth place. Oh, one bullet. Nice us. So about 150.
So I just got moved tables. Ryan Sapp played our first orbit. He didn't go bust, which is fantastic.
Stop. BetOnDrew.
Basically, you can see like what other high-level players are thinking, what they're supposed to do in certain spots, and then you can exploit that. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, here we are. Hey everyone, good to see you. Good to see you. How's it going today? It is Friday, and we are going to get into some studying. Yeah, so to be honest, I fell asleep. I fell asleep a bit before this, got up just a little bit ago, and I forgot to do one thing. Check it out. Oh, I got to do my OCD here. Okay, there we go. Forgot to size my little web browser here. But there we go. We are, yeah, all set up. How's everyone doing? Good to see you. What's up, Crest? Thank you for the follow. What's up? It's Problem. Wahoo-san, Kashtan. Are you? What's going on? Good day, everyone. Hello, Ginger, Sir Pogs, Ship It. What up, Slava Aces, Agush? Hello, hello. Good luck there. Or I hope you have a good trip there. Ship it to Colorado. I'm reading your message now. What's up, Hawks Matt? Sadu, what's going on? What's good? Old Irish, thank you, brother. Heading to the airport, flying to LA for WSOP circuits. Smooth travels, brother. Hope it goes well. And yeah, the live practice before Vegas. Cool. That sounds fun, man. I hope it goes well. Old Irish, you know, we're rooting for you. Thanks for coming through on your way out. What's up, the R Wild? Hello there, going global. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. If you enjoy study streams, you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor, hit the like button. And what we're going to do today, we talked about it the other day. We're going to go over some hands, some spots from our $300 six max second place finish, where we got second for 9,600. 9,600. Yeah, so we're going to go through some of the tagged hands, and then in a little over 2 hours, we are going to sweat Oh No Not Zach and Lola Man battling heads up for the season 14 home game trophy. They ended up, for the first time ever in 14 seasons, there was a tie in points, and we're going to settle who gets the trophy via a heads up match. And we're going to see if the Oh No Not Zach dynasty is going to be like a thing. If he wins this heads up match tonight, takes down season 14 seamlessly out of nowhere, he will have won 3 out of the last 4 home game seasons, and he will be a 4-time home game champion. Right, yeah, 4-time home game, yeah. I mean, like, how do you not deny the dynasty, right? This is some Chicago Bulls stuff happening right before our eyes. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Let's see where to start. So here are some of the hands actually that I tagged from that tournament. All right, so this is kind of where we've been going recently. This is about 8 hands, but with our discussion, kind of digging in, questions, all those things, this has kind of filled our time fairly well. So we're gonna get in. If you have any questions, let me know. For those of you just tuning in, we're gonna be using GTO Wizard in order to dig into these spots, find some theoretical mathematical answers to these poker situations. But then we are going to talk about some practical reasons to maybe not do what the solver is saying. And that really comes down to understanding how these solvers work, and that there's just an equation that we basically input: who raised from where, what are the stack depths, how big was the raise, and then, you know, how do people, or how would the math, how would it assume players are responding to certain variables, then we get an output. So the better we understand the equation, the better we can understand how the decisions that we make can influence, and the decisions we make and our opponents make can influence the suggested output. Therefore, we can decide how we would like to adjust. Because the main motivation for me to start doing these studying streams and sharing these is WSOP is right around the corner. And when I say WSOP, I think everybody kind of just connects with it. It's the summer out in Vegas, but it's so much more than World Series of Poker events. It's playing the Wynn tournaments. The Wynn is a great place to play. It's playing at the Orleans, a very classic old school place to play. It's playing at South Park. It's playing at Aria. It's playing at Golden Nugget. A lot of live poker going to be happening soon. It's a big time for poker players, and I wanted to make sure that I am sharp, I'm fresh, and that's, you know, been the motivation for these study streams. But I am going to be talking about online versus live, and, you know, kind of how I adjust between the two. So yeah, that's the main motivation. I think if you have any questions, feel free to speak up. If you are not in our Discord, are you good, honey? You want to say hi? No? Hannah's saying hi. I thought she wanted something. Make sure you're in our Discord if you are not already. !Discord in the chat will bring up a command. But as far as going out to the series this summer, playing at all anywhere this summer, make sure you keep an eye on our WSOP 2024 channel in our Discord. This is where I will be announcing along with my social media, but this will be a direct way that you can keep in touch with the community. Because I know a lot of us don't have numbers, things like that, but posting the WSOP when you're out there, hey, I'll be here. Hey, do you guys have any hotel suggestions? Hey, you know, how's the line looking this morning for the $300 Gladiator? This is going to be our communication hub. And if I'm going to be doing, well, when we get out there at the end of the month for the home game winners, we're going to be doing a breakfast, and then we're going to all go register the $500 freeze out. So we will, you know, post those communications in here. So just make sure that you're involved. And yeah, that's the vibe today. So let's get it. What's up, Arian? How are you? Okay, so Wahoo-san here. Let's get into it. Let's respond to Wahoo-san's question. Wants to know, can you highlight differences between GTO Wizard and Learn Pro Poker as it relates to getting better and studying? What's up, Chi-Town? How are you? Okay, so check it out. Learn Pro Poker is a video training library. Okay, so you could go in there. Of course, they have tools, range tools, and things like that. But the way I have utilized Learn Pro Poker training videos over the years is I'll watch the videos, I'll absorb. You know, over the years, actually, for me, this is a very natural progression, it feels like. Over the years for me, before training videos were so accessible, well, you know, I studied and I figured out the game, I took notes, and then training videos became widely accessible, and I got into the Learn Pro Poker videos. And of course, you know, we have a command in the chat for that and everything. But watching the videos, it is nice to get your brain thinking. You're not having to plug things in. You're just looking for concepts. You're trying to figure out how to think about the game more, how to construct the way that you're thinking, some ways to look at things outside the box. And it's sometimes nice to just sit there, watch a training video that's got like a topic, blind versus blind, and then you have an instructor who on the video will talk about the topic at hand, blind versus blind, and then they walk through it and they get your mind thinking, right? And whenever I watch training videos, my goal is usually to like pull out some nuggets, find something that makes me go, ah, okay, cool. Or to, you know, help me calibrate the way I'm looking at a situation. So training videos are nice like that, especially when you're earlier in your poker journey, because understanding how to use a solver and everything I just said earlier, you kind of need to have that foundation and a better understanding of poker to be able to do what this does. And now, while this is not something that you have to be like an expert poker player to use, I think once you have it, it will be more powerful. This is even more powerful to you if you have a strong base with poker, because then you can understand and you could see the output that you get when it says, oh, you should do this, right? You can be like, and think about the video and go, oh, okay, so that's why we're getting there. And you can study on your own here, and you can study specific spots. Whereas if you're watching a video, the material is already guided in one direction. So you kind of can't ask questions. You can't change the output of the situation. You can't create a situation and see what the output is there. Do you see what I mean? So like even here, let's say this is this example here we are looking at. There's a raise. Let's say this is 6 max here. There's a raise in the hijack, and then there's a fold in the cutoff, and you're on the button here, right? Hang on a second. Raise, fold in the cutoff. What's going on here? Okay, let's just say this just to show you real quick, right? Like you're just curious, and there's a fold, there's a raise, and then now in the cutoff, 35 big blinds, how should we respond? And then this here just shows our strategy. This is not something that you can pull out of a video, but now let's say we're the player sitting on the cutoff, we could see this is the suggestion for how we should play. The hands that we're going to call right here are in green. So you can say, oh, okay, calling ace jack suited, I should be re-raising the ace king suited aces, ace king kings, right? So we could just create situations and study here. Also at GTO Wizard, if you wanted to practice, you can go into this trainer. So you can see, you won't be able to do this in any video library, of course. You could go GTO Wizard drills, go to big blind defense, and then right here, let's just go start training. I don't know what's going on here. Hang on. Do I have internet error? Are you guys still here? Oh, interesting. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful, Wahoo-san. My joint's not, what's going on there? What's up there, Aris? Hello, hello. What's up, Cax? Are you there through the whole couple of weeks? Cax, I will be there from the end of May all the way through to the middle of July. You're welcome, Wahoo-san. And if anybody's interested in downloading GTO Wizard, whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, exclamation point GTOW in the chat will get you a 10% discount, and it does support the stream, so I really appreciate it. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at this first example. I tagged several hands from my second place run the other day. What's up, Ghost? Good to see you. Here was an interesting hand. So check it out. Like I said, we're playing 6-max. There was a raise, a 3-bet, and then it gets to me in the big blind with king, queen suited. What would you do here? Chat, give me an idea. This is an interactive stream. I'd love to hear what you all have to think about this situation. What do you think? I thought this was interesting. It wasn't clear cut for me per se. I was definitely, especially since it's a 6-max, because the range of hands, so the way players are going to play is going to be, you know, a bit different. People are going to be playing a little bit more aggressive. What do you think? I feel like my lizard is messing up here or something. Because I just had this output earlier. Now it's like not showing the bar for me. Fold or 4-bet, says Professor. First instinct on this is to jam, says Matt. With the player right here, 30 big blinds behind. I don't know if this is me, man, but it looks like GTO Wizard might be having some sort of issue. Hang on a second. I'm going to tell you what I think about this. Am I tripping out? What's up, Boston Dome? Yeah, I am. Let's see something here. Hang on a second. I gotta clear cache or something weird. Sorry, everyone. I guess this is what happens with live streams. A live streaming thing, huh? Am I ready to bink? Yes, I am ready to bink. 100%, buddy. I cannot wait. I'm very, very excited. My goal is to just make sure that I am prepared. I think that's the most we can do. Try to get into that right poker mindset. All right, so for this one, I did look this one up as I'm trying to get the old GTO Lizard working. And I did look at this output already. So basically what I ended up doing was something a little bit cheeky, because the thing here that's concerning to me is, okay, if I get, looking at it now, if I get 4-bet jammed on here, this is not a hand I want to fold. But when I make this cold 4-bet, non-all-in, it does actually leave me room to fold, and my opponent is going to likely respond to this raise really honestly, I would think, most players. So by doing this, I kind of create a situation where I'm gonna be pretty open to folding, though that's not necessarily what you know what I mean, what I would want to do here. Mr. Golden Pair, welcome back. Oh, buddy, how long? It's been a long time since I've seen you. I hope you've been doing well. Okay, I gotta completely close out of this browser. It's being stupid. 1 second. Interesting. I think GTO Wizard is having issues. Anyone else have GTO Wizard? That's just like not working. So we might just end up going through this hand history and talking about hands. Oh, camera froze too. Sexy. Good. Okay. Jeez, man. Cheese Louise. Okay, we're back. And yeah, this is not sure what's going on here. Sorry, everyone. You came here for brain food, and the old GTO Lizard is not working for some reason. Okay, so with that said, then I guess what we're going to end up doing here is I'm going to adjust. We're going to go through. I did look at a couple of these things. So right here is, this is a 4-bet jam. So when I plugged this in earlier pre-flop, this is just a 4-bet jam. And then the 4-bet, there is 4-bet bluffs here. The 4-bet bluff is King Jack suited. It's like King Jack suited, Ace 8 suited, and I think there was like a small pair and then like a lower Ace X suited. And I don't even believe that there was anything on the offsuit side that we would use as a 4-bet bluff here. But King Queen suited just wants to full frequency jam. King Jack suited, the solver output was suggesting fold the King Jack suited, but I believe it was about 40-50% of the time I'd like to see a 4-bet bluff similar to what I'm doing here. Boston Dome, it's kind of like, the reason it's a 4-bet jam is because the stack depth is so shallow, and it's just at that point, there's so much dead money out there. There's 10 bigs in the middle, and there are 35 big blinds effective in this situation. So with already 10 bigs, it's just more than enough money in the middle that we are fitting to win. We could just basically go in and fight for that with our strongest hands. So we have to just have then a well-constructed 4-bet jam range. We can't just, of course, be jamming Ace King, Ace Queen, Aces. So we need to have some other non-nutted strong hands. This looks like one of them. It's just way too strong. Our opponent here can be 3-betting King Jack, some potentially some Jack 10 suited, Queen Jack suited, some Ace Jack, things like that. So this hand is going to benefit when we jam. We get some random Ace X to fold that is ahead of us, which is cool. If they happen to be just trying to get position, get heads up with an opponent, and they happen to have a hand like 8s and 9s, and we 4-bet jam, we might be able to get them to fold, though in theory those hands are mostly going to be calling. Let's see. let me get logged into my other Johnny here. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so we'll look at some pre-flop charts. We'll utilize this other tool I have, Floptimal, which is a very cool tool as well. We've talked about this before on stream. The old Floptimal baby. Since we've been using GTO Wizard, though, we haven't been using this one quite as much. But let's see what kind of, I mean, this is going to be 8 max, so it's going to be different than 6 max. But basically here, let's look at 40 bigs. Hijack raises, cutoff raises, and then it folds to, let's see here, big blind. We're a big blind, right? Fold, raise, 3-bet, and then in the big blind we could see king queen suited. The yellow is all in. They even have just king jack suited out of here. Let's see if they have 30 bigs. King jack suited is not there. 40 bigs, 50 bigs. It's now having king jack suited do some 3-bet bluffing. This is based off of 8-handed though. Again, it's not 6-handed. The one thing that we can see is clear is 30, 40, even 50 big blinds here. Pre-flop with the king queen suited. They like the all in. Blockers is a thing too. Professor Grind brought up. You know, when you 4-bet jam here with this hand, it's less likely your opponent's going to have kings, queens, ace, king, ace, queen suited, hands that are just going to be calling you all the time. What's up there, Sacramento? Hello. Ah, that's funny. Oh, appreciate that, Shock. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. We've been putting out some different stuff, huh? We are doing the POV from, in the last like week or two, we've done the point of view stream from the table. We did the study stream. We got the home game stream vibe, which is different. We got, of course, our normal online grind, and we're just embracing really poker full circle and all the different kind of aspects of it. This is we are a poker channel, huh? Full spectrum. So that's cool. I appreciate that. That's a nice comment, Sacramento. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. And no, Boston Dome, I will be in the ACR Punter's Pad house. Hannah will be coming with me as well, along with Noodles. What's up, Balanced Range? Good to see you tonight, brother. What's up, Polish Pistol? Hello, hello. Okay, I'm going to refresh GTO Wizard one more time. And then I'm not going to let it slow us down. I'll check on it again later. Okay. It's still not kind of coming up for me. So let's just keep studying here. We're going to have some loose conversation now. We're going to pivot and we're going to have some loose poker conversation with you all. I'm going to tell you my thoughts and then we're going to go from there, okay? So yeah, we ended up 4-betting and we did get information from Nate here, Cracking Aces, Barstool Nate. He said he had ace-5 suited here. So I made a really strong looking 4-bet, got him to fold the ace-5 suited, and I don't mind that. And you know what? I really don't mind the 4-bet either, thinking about it in practice. Like if this was a live poker tournament, the range that the player is going to jam here, and I'm speaking just random, unknown, nobody players. We don't know them. When we 4-bet here, they're going to make way more calling mistakes than aggressive mistakes. So if they see a good price and they have a hand that we're competitive with, they're just going to call a lot of the time. And if they have a big hand, ace, king, maybe even ace, queen, queens, kings, aces, a lot of the time they're just going to get it in here, especially if they're very level 1 early stages of, you know, learning and playing poker. They haven't really advanced too far down, and it's very ABC poker, which is what I would assume, especially in a lot of dailies, lower buy-in tournaments, whether it's in Texas, Vegas, whatever the case may be. We're going to get a very honest response here. So honestly, I don't mind the idea of 4-bet folding, considering how I think players are going to respond. But I think if I'm playing in like a WPT event, something like that, I'm just going to jam here. You think, Patrick, you think nobody is jamming king queen suited here in this situation that I'm in? I think a lot of the very well studied players will be finding the jam with king queen suited here. I presented this hand and showed it to a few people, even comments in the chat from people who I know have studied. Their first instinct is to jam here. There's also some jams here which I know players aren't going to be finding with from the big blind, not this exact scenario per se, but there's going to be like a cutoff raise button flat. We have like 30 big blinds and we're jamming jack 10 suited, and it's super sexy and awesome to find that jam. But there are high stakes professionals who don't miss these king queen suited, jack 10 suited, like these types of jams. Thank you, Wahoo-san, for using the referral code, signing up to GTO Wizard. I appreciate that. And it's working fine for you. So I must be having some sort of web something error. I don't know what's going on, why mine's not working. I'll try again. Let me go through these hands and then we'll try to go back into it in a little bit. We'll just talk more. Does king queen suited as a 4-bet jam for all type of 3-bet sizes, as we need to defend less against larger 3-bet size? Oh, so that's a good question. I don't have access to look into our responses versus 3 different bet sizes. But in this situation, I would say, just looking at it, let's say cracking aces here made it the big thing. If I see a different 3-bet size and it's not 5.35, if I see like 7 or 8 blinds, I think that's going to tell me that that's likely a more recreational player. 3-bet sizing is just not efficient when they're making it 8 blinds. But also with that, if I see a bigger 3-bet, that's going to be, okay, if this is a less experienced player who's not aware of how inefficient their 3-bet sizing is, then it's likely their 3-bet sizing is going to be more of an ABC 3-bet sizing. So it's likely going to be just stronger. And we could probably bet money that the majority of the time they're not going to have the ace-5 suited like our opponent does in this hand. And they're just going to have like ace-queen, ace-king, hands that they are never 3-bet folding, potentially. Right? There's going to be some outliers to that. But I think that's the baseline for me as far as seeing like a bigger 3-bet sizing in the situation from the stack depths. Sometimes some smaller 3-bet sizings like this can really be just like, again, if I'm right now in the live poker headspace, thinking about a smaller 3-bet size, that can just be like a juicer. As in, they have some sort of suited speculative hand that they kind of want to put a little bit more money or a pair into the pot. This is very much so like a gambler type of player thing. They're just trying to juice it for when they hit. I've seen that. And for the online players out there, I'll say this, this 3-bet to 4.5, 4 blinds that we're starting to see now a lot online at mid stages, earlier stages of the tournament, because late stages for some more experienced players, that's been much more of a common thing. But I don't think that we're going to start seeing that in the live poker setting, these micro 3-bet sizes as much as we are online. It feels like it's just really starting to happen more online. The online trend is always behind, or the live trend is always behind online. So I'm kind of putting out a guess and an assumption that I'm not anticipating, unless I'm playing some very experienced players, to be seeing much 3-betting mid stages of tournaments to like 4 and 4.5 blinds. Though it does have a lot of function, I really do like it, but I'm not anticipating we're going to be facing smaller 3-bet sizings in a live setting too often. So Patrick, in this situation, the output that I saw earlier when I was using GTO Wizard is king jack suited is a 4-bet bluff. Like my hand here, if I was 4-bet bluffing this, I should be using king jack suited, and then I would be folding if they jam. Whereas king queen suited, they don't really want to fold, and we just stick it all in. Use a different browser. Okay, I'll check that balanced range. Sounds good. And does it change if we're in position versus out of position? Yes, it typically will, the output for sure. Output will definitely change. So these are good questions. I don't even know what other browser I have, actually. Let me see over here. What's up, Ketonius? How's it going? Says 7.5 big blinds, 3-bet is a standard 3-bet size from the coaching side I use. Although off 35 bigs, it does seem a little large. Does it still seem recreational to you if deeper, 50 big blinds plus? Yes, it does still seem deeper. Tussle, welcome back. Thank you, brother, for the 7 months. I appreciate it. V Finley, also thank you for the follow. Ketonius, yeah, unless you're deep stacked, I don't see a lot of suggestion for the bigger 3-bet sizing. Because, I mean, really, these days, it's cooler to 3-bet smaller. Poker is continuing to evolve. And and players' understandings of how they could still allow for themselves to... You have to think about it this way, too. If you want to do more like 3-betting, for instance, then you kind of do need to cut some fat on these bets, especially if you're not moving people's folding frequencies at all. You know, if they're kind of just like static with that, then it can be more efficient to have smaller 3-bet sizes, especially if you want to leave yourself more room post flop to play, because the bigger you 3-bet, of course, the closer you are bringing you and your opponent to an all-in situation. So thinking about that, you know, the bigger 3-bet sizing can be utilized and super functional, I think. But there does come a stack size where I think it's very inefficient to be 3-betting to 7.5 blinds, because what you also have to think about then is, okay, if my opponent's 3-betting to 7.5 blinds here, how many bluffs do they have? Like, imagine that you're sitting at a live poker table, you're playing the $600 Aria 75K, and there's 25, 30K up top, and in a one-day tournament, you're down to the final 3 tables, and Average Joe's Gym team leader has just 3-bet you to 7.5 blinds from a, let's say, 25, 30 big blind stack, 20 blind stack, right? Like, you could look at their stack and see this 3-bet size, and you just know, okay, they're never putting this much risk. They're not risking this much of their stack, 30% roughly, on a 3-bet bluff here, when you know dang well that their 3-bet range is quite strong and very condensed to big hands. They're just not going to have bluffs with that 3-bet sizing. So, you know, I don't like it. Well, I actually like it from the receiving side. It makes it easier for me to fold and just play perfect versus them. And they just, when they run into a bigger hand and they were planning on 3-bet folding, or they're finding some sort of fold with like ace-jack suited, or maybe even folding ace-queen. Live players are definitely 3-bet folding ace-queen, and like some are even 3-bet folding ace-king. I promise you, live daily players are folding ace-king. Hannah has a scroll of times that she has 3-bet or 4-bet somebody, or 3-bet them, or 3-bet jammed in a situation, maybe 4-bet jammed, whatever, like in that range of actions. And people have folded and showed her ace-king time and time again. People have folded and even showed me ace-king a time or two. Now, if that's connected to the fact that she's a female, maybe they think that she is playing a tighter range. It's pretty sick if she kind of figures that out. Like, I don't have that sample as a female, but if you're a female out there watching, you know, consider these things. It really does matter. If you feel like you probably had tight image, you see how your opponents are playing. Like, let's say, ladies out there watching, let's say you had a couple string of hands, and like you had 2-3 hands raise, and then you 3-bet, and it gets back to the original raiser, and they just auto fold, like snap fold. They're not even thinking about it, or they fold and show you like, I'm gonna give you some respect, okay, honey, and they table ace queen suited. They have literally just given you so much information. Like, I'm not, for the most part, people are not just gonna fold ace queen suited to me, right? But for some of you ladies out there, if you're seeing some of the things Hannah's seeing, and you're like, oh wow, he folded that, think about that, you know what I mean? And now you could really manipulate your image if they just think that you're tight. You got to do it sparingly, because people, not sparingly, but you can't just turn into this like mega super bulldozer. But if you do it at like the right frequency, you could just maintain your stack. You don't need to wait for actual 3-bet hands. You could just start 3-betting the like ace 7 offsuit, ace 8 offsuit. Like if you pace yourself enough, let's say you've just been going card dead for a while, you feel like you do have tight image. You saw that gentleman who folded and showed you a super strong hand earlier, or they maybe even folded to your 3-bet jam tens and showed you, right? Like you have an opportunity to exploit these opponents, and you got to pick up that information and utilize it, because in those times that, especially when we're live poker, of course online too, tournament poker is very similar, but there are times where we're not going to be getting hands, and you have to find ways to maintain your stack in a tournament, right? Maintain your position, stay alive a little bit longer until that run of cards comes through and hits for you. Like that's part of tournament poker. And all of this like GTO charts, blah, 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 all of this stuff is massively important. But I will tell you also, thinking about tournaments in terms of navigating is powerful. And I don't even know if we'll ever really, outside of like me and maybe other people randomly talking about it, I personally, over my many years of playing tournaments now, live and online, you know, I've against some of the most common competition and some of the more unique and elite competition. I've played with them all. I've experienced the game in these spaces, and what I have gathered and what I continue to tell myself, and it has given me the most value, is tournaments are about understanding how to navigate. And thinking about that, there's so many players who have never seen a solver, they've never studied, blah, 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 but they are some of the best tournament players that our game has ever seen. How? Why? Right? And I think about that, and it goes to my point. Tournaments are about navigating. Like if you can find, and you got to realize the stages for the gamers out there. If you're thinking like Fortnite, PUBG, and the circle's closing, tournaments, the circle's closing, the blinds are going up, right? The space, the amount of tables, the room that you have to navigate is getting smaller and smaller as the tournament goes on. And getting through that 3-bet bluff to pick up the blinds and the raise, which gives you another orbit, right? That's like getting a shield boost in Fortnite and the circle is hitting you and you're taking damage. Getting that 3-bet bluff through could really be massive for you. And now if you take your pace, sometimes you could ride the circle and be in the storm because you have bad position. You see there's these 2 players up front and they've been building and, you know, they're watching all over. But, you know, if you could kind of survive and get into position and find that good spot down to the final circle or whatever, like now you still have an opportunity to win that game, that battle royale. And in tournaments, it's the same thing. I think there's such a cool crossover between battle royale games and tournament poker. Now, you know, you navigate the circle, you navigate the money bubble, you navigate your 15, 20, 30 big blind stack. And sometimes you might not get big hands, big situations, but if you can find little spots versus the right opponents to just stay alive, like, you know, that rush is going to come, you're eventually going to get a hand. No one's ever played a tournament and not got any hand unless they bust it out real quick. But over the course of it, you know what I'm saying? So that's a ramble, but honestly, since my browser, whatever it is messing up, I'm going to just try to give you guys and gals, you know, like whatever valuable information I can. And navigating a tournament, understanding what it's like early stages in a live 1100 at the Win, or a live $60 daily at South Point. Things are going to be different. There's going to be different flow. Managing like one thing. Okay, wow. What's up, Dan? Good to see you, brother. Like, you have to be able to play 15, in my opinion, you have to be able to play 15 and 10 big blinds or less, final 3-4 tables of a lot of these. Well, I'll say this specifically. like the Aria dailies during the summer, the $600-800 one days that are like 75K guarantees that get like 300K in the prize pool, and it'll be 20K plus for first, like every single day. I will say this even at the risk of me jinxing myself, but I don't really care because I'd rather share. I've chopped a tournament there every single summer for like the last 3 summers. Okay. And my belief, and I would say Hannah's belief, because we've talked about this a bunch, and she's made final table, Aria Daily, those bigger ones, and she's been final 2-3 tables multiple times. You got to be comfortable playing that sub 20 big blind stack. You have to know how to navigate it. And the solver is going to show you in some instances where, oh, you could just jam here. And, you know, that's going to be the high frequency output. But there's so many situations where I'm thinking about navigating. Like, I don't need to, it's not efficient, in my opinion, in some of these live tournaments and some of these spots to just jam and pick up those blinds, where I could just min raise from a 10 big blind stack and maybe even get more folds than had I jammed. And yes, it sucks min raise folding from like a 10 big blind stack or whatever, but that's still fold equity. And when it gets deeper in tournaments, what I focus on a lot more is, do I still have fold equity? Especially if I'm not getting cards and I'm trying to pick spots that I mentioned earlier to stay alive. Like, there will be those stupid times where that'll happen, and I'm still just trying to stay alive without risking my life and having to go into some, you know, unnecessary battle, let's say. Now, there's arguments both sides, whatever. I'm kind of just sharing my opinion and my thoughts, since I have gone on this tangent thinking about navigating tournaments versus just playing our hands. And since the old GTO lizard not working for me, we got to talk about something, right? Okay, let me read some of the chat here. Green Tea wants to know, do you think live you are seeing more 3-4 players going to a flop over raising 2 heads up start? Yes, 1,000,000%. 3-4 if you're in Texas, 5-6 players going to a flop. Let me see. What's up, Play-Doh Poker? Glad you enjoy these streams. Glad to have you here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're getting ready for WSOP. I'm gonna ramble this session and talk about whatever. If you have questions, this is gonna be a really good one. And then at 7:30, we're going to have a heads up battle for the season 14 champion of my home game series. Like I said, I'm gonna go through some, I am gonna go through more hands, but you guys have questions. We're here, we're studying. I'll answer whatever. What's up, Dan? Good to see you, brother, by the way. What's up, Joe Yo? Buddy, have you been even playing a bunch of online? You just got to be in the streets. You know how it is. What's up, Gibbs? Oh, Gibbs, it's good to see you. I'll see you this summer, I imagine, right? Yeah, the most powerful thing with being a GTO bot is understanding the GTO bot. As in the GTO wizard, the GTO European, the GTO Brazilian, the GTO American. Like, you know, like the most powerful thing you can do is understand your opponent, because then you know how you can construct your opponent. Like Bruce Lee says, you want to be like water. Honey, you need me? You need me? Oh, okay. Be like water. You know what I'm saying? Like, fit your situation. And depending on what opponent you're up against, you need to fit that situation. So yeah, navigate, man. If you're a tournament player, think about navigating. And there will be some times where you potentially, by theory, by a solver, be told, oh, you made a blunder. But if you understand the dynamics and the way that, again, what a map looks like, a tournament, making it to the final table, being there, you know, like what it takes to get there and how to manipulate situations and keep yourself alive. It's so powerful, and it's a different game. It's so fun to not just be thinking if you're making the right mathematical decision. It's so much fun for me, and it's important, in my opinion, to be having fun playing so that you are your most engaged. And I will play and do stupid things. I'll be a field player, but it's all in the spirit of, man, let me have fun here. It's like, oh gosh, I don't really care that I have 8-6 off here and you know, Jimmy from Dallas and Reba from Tennessee are in a Rays 3-bet pot. Like, I just think I'm gonna get this through. Like, Rays. Like, if I'm not doing stuff like that, I'm not having fun, and I'm not playing my best. And honestly, I've really adopted that the last 2-3 years or so, after doing all of my like solver deep dive type of stuff and figuring out how things work. I'm just like, man, I understand what's going on. Now I just want to have fun, do my own thing, and try to exploit those who are trying to play that strategy. And I found a lot of success with it. So yeah. What's up, Death 3406? Yeah, Zach seems solid for sure. I mean, there's got to be a reason he's won 3 out of the last 4 seasons. All right, sounds good, Gibbs. Keep me posted. Yes, exclamation point home game, Shaq Ramonto. And this is what our home game is. This is just the end of it. I haven't redone it for season 15, but just this last Wednesday, 2 days ago, season 14 ended. We're sending 2 people to the 2024 WSOP main event. They won 1.2K packages. There's actually a deal made between Zach and Zippy. So Zippy and Lola Man are going to be the 2 that I'll be meeting out at Vegas at the end of the month, along with other people in the chat who book trips. And it's every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern is the start of the game. There are 3 games that give you leaderboard points for the league. $11 freeze out, $5 progressive knockout, and a $2 PLO 6 max. You get the money, you get a point. Final table, you get more points. And then over the course of 12 weeks, we find out who has the most points and then who wins the top prizes. So that's every Wednesday, 14 seasons, 12-week seasons. You do the math. We've been doing it for a long time. Carve out your Wednesday nights if you want to hang out with us. What's up, GT? No, how's it going? Did I play poker for a living when I met my lady? Yes. So Hannah and I have been together a little over 3 years. I looked it up last night in my notes. Gentlemen, I'm going to slide in another nugget here. Gentlemen, take notes on your lady. Ladies, take notes on your men. You know, I'm just speaking from a man's side. But man, I'm bad with dates, directions, you know, names, whatever. But I take notes, and I have a little notepad here. I'm like, oh man, how long have we been together? Like last night in the game, Devo asked me. Brian Devonshire, he played our Rounders cash game. And I was like, oh gosh. I don't know. I don't even know how old Noodles is. I'm always like, oh, he's like 2 years old. She's like, no, he's 2 3/4. But yeah, I have notes, so I know when. And I told him, I was like, you know what? It's actually been a little bit over 3 years since we've been together. And yeah, no, Hannah already played poker before we had met. She had played cash games at like parks in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. She had played Sugar House, all those things. She played cash games, but when we got together, she became a tournament player. So now she mostly focuses on tournaments like me. All right, biggest thing with GTO balanced range says is it assumes that you're playing against a balanced player. Correct. That's super important to understand, which is not correct in most cases. So you always need to adjust the GTO ranges. Correct. Correct. What's up, Land Dizzy? Ah, let's go. The boys. Look at this. The boys are in the chat. These are the 2 that are going to be playing heads up in an hour and a half to see who gets the season 14 trophy engraved with their ACR username. Will Zach Attack. Holy crap, this guy. Look at him. Oh no, not Zach. Won season 10, won season 12, won season 13, and he might win season 14 if he beats Land Dizzy in this heads up match. This is a dynasty, man. Jeez, he wasn't even in contention at one point. But he's battling again for another title. So that's pretty sick. Zach, I'm going to expect a real sick picture too. I'm just saying, man. All right. If you 4-time it here, you win. Picture your trophy. You know, you gave me the Catalina wine mixer background last time. That's the bar, okay? The tourneys last 4 hours, Sacramento. So if you're playing in our home game on Wednesday nights and you got to work the next day, perfect window. If you're on the East Coast, it starts at 8. You'll be done by midnight. And then you can get up, get your 6 hours, which are healthy hours of sleep. Get your like 6-7 hours. Get up, go to work, 8-9 a.m. Boom. Boom. Kindred, welcome back. Thank you, brother, for the 59 months. Yes, we're great. I hope you're doing good. Good luck in your grind. Okay. I love talking about poker, man. But I will say that there are times where I was frustrated and I didn't want to play poker. I was not motivated, but I needed to make money playing poker, and that is a very tough spot to be in. I was thinking about that the other day too. I'm happy that I'm having fun, as much fun as I am these days playing poker. So I wanted to look up this hand. I went with a cheeky 3-bet and they got jammed on. I don't think I'm ever calling here, but in this 6 max, I just wanted to be active. I didn't want to flat. I definitely thought that this was a table where if I flat here, I'm going to get squeezed out a lot. Opponents were definitely 3-betting. It felt like quite properly. There's a $300 buy-in, by the way, 6 max event. Online Super Series event on ACR. The series just started, so it's bigger guarantees, bigger buy-ins. This tournament, it was a bit more rare of a tournament. $320 buy-in. It had a 50K guaranteed, and it was a 6 max. And there was some tough opponents here. So the idea of flatting here, even though I would assume this is going to be the main output, let's take a look. Again, I have this because my browser or whatever, my lizard is messed up. My GTO wizard. We're just going to look at this from a 20 big blind standpoint. Let's clear actions, and then let's call this button cutoff. Hijack, low jack, raise, and then I am in the hijack here. 6s. Okay, so 6s does actually like a tiny raise. This is considering 8 max and not 6 max though. But the 6s, I do see a sliver of green in there. In the 6s, and then we also see some yellow, which is some all-in from 20 effective. Makes sense, but there is the majority suggestion here. The blue with these 6s is a call, right? And I decided not to call, and I decided to go with the raise here. And this is just an efficient raise sizing by me, I believe. It's just going to put them in a spot where they're going to feel like they have to decide for their chips or not. Do they want to call off another 2 blinds? And I think this is a cool spot to think about when it comes to live poker as well, highly. But yeah, do they really want to call off another 2 blinds of their dwindling 16 big blind stack? Do they think I just have a super strong hand? And the question is 4 blinds as efficient as 5 blinds, right? Like if I were to make this 5 blinds and I were to be told you're going to get all the hands they're supposed to fold, I'm going to get when I make it 5. But all the hands that they're supposed to fold, now they're starting to call some at 4. Like if I had that data, like, okay, you know, I'll make it 4.5. Crazy Simo, welcome back, buddy. Big love. Hope you've been doing well also. And yeah, I'll probably be texting you, Crazy, because I got to update the season 15 standings and stuff. But I hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. Yeah, so I ended up folding here. So it's good to see actually that there was some suggestion for 3-betting, because I'm 3-betting out of understanding what's going on and how I want to navigate this situation. So there's that word again, navigate. I feel like that's going to be this is the secret lesson that was meant to be brought out in this study session, I feel like. Not only for you all, but for me to continue to remind myself, because it's easy to forget things that are important unless we keep them at the front of our mind. So I feel like today's lesson and study is reminding me a lot about navigating, because I really do. We have to think about this here. When we call, the navigation of this hand is going to be different than when we 3-bet, right? When we 3-bet, a lot of the time, the way a hand is going to navigate, it's going to fold back to that initial raiser. Like that's what's going to happen 90+% of the time. When we choose to navigate this way, what happens is people get out of the way. Just think about, okay, what are people 4-betting? How often are they 4-betting? And now you get a feel for when we decide to 3-bet here, how we're going to end up navigating this hand. Whereas when we call, now people can overcall. Now we're playing multi-way pots. Now it's open for a squeeze. Now it's open to have somebody just 3-bet, right? Because we didn't when we choose to just call here. So I think in our decision making, whether it's live or online, these are things that we need to think about. This is like navigating a poker tournament is like playing chess. Like, you have to be a few moves ahead. And yeah, consider your GTO thing. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is 60%. Okay, I'm just going to call here all the time. And you can, actually. I'm being like sarcastic in this example. But yeah, you could stick to that, play your game. If you're one of those players, that's cool. But what I enjoy to do with poker, and what I guess I feel like I'm kind of empowering a little bit, is to just like think about the situations and have more fun with it. And even though you might know, oh, this is just like an easy call, it doesn't have to be an easy call. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you final 3 tables of a tournament and you have opponents who have seen, like, you've already know that they're like squeezing and fighting here, but you know your hand is strong and this is the only weaker player at the table, and you want to try to attack them and navigate this situation. You want to seize this opportunity a little bit better. Does my argument for 3-betting here, even though it's like a full frequency flat, does it seem to make some sense to you? Right? Like, think about that. I'm not assuming that everyone's gonna like the idea of this, but I'm telling you, this is a fun way that I like to think about the game and have it just always be a puzzle. And at the core of that puzzle, I empower myself to play this way because I do understand a good bit of the GTO strategy. Hubie, thank you for the gifted sub. Puzzle says, I think 4.5 is the move, and 4 they have way too good of a price. It's very interesting because it's so nitpicky, right? Like 4 blinds to 4.5 blinds. But I can't argue that the folding frequency doesn't change, even though it's a half a blind. But psychologically, and when we see it and we feel it, like, we, especially if you've been playing poker long enough, like, oh wow, it's like facing a min raise in the big blind. Okay, it's just min, it's just one more blind. It feels similar to that, making it just 4 blinds in a sense, right? Whereas if we're in the big blind, we're facing a 2.5 or 3x open, we're just not defending as much. And that's a mathematical thing, but then also a very subconscious psychological thing, you know, for like newer players. Like, you see, oh, it's more, it feels like more, it's more in my stack. Like, you're not consciously thinking these things, but you feel it, and then you're like, you go, you don't know what to do, and you fold. So these things do matter, these sizes. And I'm not sure how much. I think 4.5, honestly, will probably get, thinking about how people defend big blind, I'm assuming a 3-bet to like 4.5 here is going to actually move the needle as far as people's folding frequencies, right? So that's why I think I said when I first pulled up this hand, I was like, oh, this is a cheeky 3-bet, is because it is cheeky. It is cheeky, man. But if they're like, hey, somebody, again, if I knew that my opponent was just playing very straightforward 2 3-bets, like, it doesn't matter what size I pick, I could make it 3.5 here, and my opponent will still fold his worst hands and jam his best hands, and they will play no flats. Like, if I knew that, all right, man, I might even start doing it. I'm curious. I'm such a curious player. I might even start 3-betting people here, 3.5, just to see what they do. Because you know what? It happened to me the other day. Jay Smackers, the one who ended up winning this tournament that I got heads up versus, hit me with several, it might have been 3 or 4, hit me with several min click 4-bets at the final table of this tournament and destroyed me. But at that point, he didn't go double what I made it. He literally just clicked it, and he seemed like a really good player. So I think that he understood. Also, first off, it's just like fun, you know what I mean? It's just, you don't see those sizings. Getting to do them is so much fun. It was so annoying, and I was so jealous of him. But then I was just not flatting them because I was thinking, oh my gosh, this could just be nutty. He's leaving room for me to jam. The stack sizes were perfect for it. Final table ICM. Do I want to make that mistake? Does he think I'm thinking about that? There was just so much going on that it's like, okay, it can't just continue to happen, right? Like, they might get away with it here and there, but I think in a notable amount of situations, if you're just like, oh, okay, like, whatever, buddy, you got it. It's not like he's gonna do it every single time, though he did do it a couple other times at least. So it's very interesting thinking about bet sizing and really our understanding of how our opponent is going to respond, you know, based on data we have. You know, we start with population data, we start with our default, and then we adjust from there. Dust, thank you for the follow. When you thank you for the follow. Let me see. What is my general open strategy? I see a lot of min raise opens these days. Min raise is easy, honestly, and I'm not convinced. And actually, in a live poker setting, I'm not convinced if we go from 2 to 2.5 in a cash game, for instance, that we're affecting our opponent's calling. Like players in cash games live are just calling. Well, we're not min raising in cash games, but let's say more so like you're opening to 2.5x, like online cash games. You're going to see that's going to be much more common to open to 2.5x. If you see a tournament player playing a cash game, it's going to be like 2.2. They might just have their button set. If you're playing a live cash game, it's going to be like minimum 3x cash game open, up to 4 and 5x, depending. So in that setting, I think they're just going to be calling whatever your open sizing in a live cash game the same. Whereas tournaments, especially once stacks get below, honestly, for me, I'm probably autopiloting a min raise and just playing post sub 40 blinds or so, kind of. But it's just like picking hairs whether or not, you know, we're getting an extra 0.2 blinds in the middle there and making our opponent fold more, or you know, we're building up that much more of a pot because we want to. You know, it's just like I do try to simplify the game in some spots and keep it simple, so I don't stress about like these like 0.01 EV changes and, you know, I should have raised to this size, I should have raised to this size. Okay, let me see here. I gotta read this one. Hang on. When you says online poker is R-worded and it comes to balance if you have good runs. R-word, they said rigged. Just to be clear. And a times 10 balance like I did, then you can't win any 50-50s. Don't promote online poker. Guys, gals. What do you think? I know what I think. I know what I think. When you check it out. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it has hit you since I've read back what you said, but poker in general, it's the same game. People could say online is rigged. People can say live is rigged. And you know what? There's not going to be, first off, you're not going to listen to me, right? I'm just going to talk here because I'm just, you know, the GTO lizard is down for me. So we're just hanging out and talking. What I'll say is this. A lot of the time, people who say what you say are players who are struggling with their emotions in poker, and they don't know how to handle variance. And they're also playing a strategy that can oftentimes be a little bit outdated. Like it's very level one. You learned what hand beats what and what the full hand rankings are. And then now you're experiencing some variance, which is very, very normal. But since you likely don't study poker too much on a very high level, your understanding of this variance is less that your emotional side of you will take control in situations where we all obviously want to win, but we have to lose at like a certain percent, a certain very natural percent. So this is just something I've seen over the years since I've been streaming and kind of involved in the poker community. People who are complaining about bad beats a lot and that this is rigged, I can't win my 50-50s, don't have a true understanding of how variance works in poker. And not only that, I could probably cross that over to variance in investing, variance in stock trading, variance in investing in crypto, right? Like variance in lending someone money who you might think is your friend. There's variance in lending them that money, and we're going to get emotionally tore up when it runs on the bad side and somebody doesn't pay us back money. There's variance everywhere, but we don't put it in those words until you kind of like get into poker. I feel like it's like, oh, life variance, you know, we speak our own language, but variance is everywhere. It's just that online we could play so many tables at once, we get in so many more hands than if we're playing live. The sample size that we get from playing online micro investment hands of poker the word variance becomes a necessity. Whereas, life variance, smaller sample of whatever situations, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just variance, there's work variance, it's everywhere, but we just don't use that word until you like get into poker, I feel like, or you're in some sort of, analytics and whatever else. So yeah, if you want to find more success in poker, you actually do want to play, but you're struggling with your emotions, like try to dig into that more, do a little bit more studying, make sure that your strategy is good and you're not just putting yourself in high variance situations where you're always losing, because that's another thing that players who have not really brushed up on their strategy, I think, can do. And I speak from experience. That's where this stuff is coming from. This isn't a coaching session. I'm just saying, hey, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's see. Getting caught up on the chat. What's up, Bob the Turner? It's also very hard to beat stupid people. True variance. Ketonius says it's fair. No, you can't say that when you... Oh my gosh, I'm going to keep engaging you too. You can't... You know what I mean? Like... You saying I am a good player, I 10x'd my bankroll and busted all of it because some online site found motivation to rig a tournament, which they don't need to because their fees are already taken out of it and they don't increase by rigging the tournament. There's no motivation to create a program outside of the certified RNG programs and their certificates, like ACR, for instance. You can Google Winning Poker Network RNG certificate. It'll come up on Google for you. Like, go ahead and do it. Like, it literally doesn't make sense what you're saying, Wenyu. Do you get that? Do you understand what I'm saying? And just because you 10x your bankroll once doesn't mean that you're good at poker. Okay? Like, let me tell you this, everyone. I'm going to share a story. Okay, I'm gonna share a story here. All right. I was talking to someone the other day who was literally asking me about it was on Instagram. They were asking me about going pro and what my thoughts are on it. They're thinking about doing it. They hate their job. They play a home game, an underground home game they play, and they are struggling there. They can't really seem to beat it, but they think they can make it pro. That's kind of the foundation of this, right? And my response to them was, if you can't beat that low stakes underground home game, how are you going to make it pro? There are so many things that need to happen in order for you to make it pro, and people don't even realize the emotional maturity and emotional stamina that you need to have to even get through the early parts of poker. Like, if you don't get really lucky early, your mission to going pro, especially if you don't have several thousand hours of study under your belt, several $1,000s of money to fall back on, variance could literally just hit you and you could be an okay player. You could be somebody who could make it, but if variance hits you early and you don't get lucky to be on the positive side of it, then you're going to get destroyed and you're going to be going back to your job. That's the majority of what happens to people. Like, that is the majority. That just is what it is. Less than 20% of people who play poker are actual full-time professionals. It's maybe even less than 10%. I haven't seen a figure on it in a while, but I know it's less than 20%. Might even be like 5%. You know what I'm saying? And I told them, I was like, do not go pro. Continue to get your income that you're getting from that job. You need to invest whatever money. Stop playing poker for a little bit, I told him, okay? And I will tell people that if I think it's necessary. I'm not just here to get people to sign up for ACR. I'm not just here to sell, affiliate GTO things. Like, I'm not just here for that. If I think it's important to be a real person and tell someone don't play poker, I will. Oh, this isn't good for you. I don't think this is a you thing, right? So anyway, I told this person, I was like, stop playing for right now. Invest whatever money you have. If you really are passionate about the game, you miss that element of competition. Myself, I used to play sports my entire life. I've played video games. Like, that's just me. And I want to compete. I need to feel alive. I need to be competing, right? I find that in poker. Now that I'm getting older and I can't play baseball, I don't play basketball as much, football, whatever. I played anything I could, man. Right? I just wanted to be physical and competing. And now that competition is exercised through tournament poker, cash game poker. And so I study, I try to get better, I try to keep my mind and body right. There's a lot of stuff going on for that competitive thrill. And I need to be good enough and competing with these other opponents to get that high, right? But it takes a lot of work. And I told them, stop playing for now, study, get a coach, invest whatever money you were using in playing, invest it in getting better. And then go back to that underground home game that you play that you couldn't beat. And until you can build up a bankroll and beat that game, don't think about going pro, because that is going to be the softest game that you will come across. Like, I've played in a ton of these like underground home games. I used to have my own back in North Carolina days, like a long time ago. I've played at different ones. I've seen setups. I've gotten free hoagies and free drinks, and you know, like I've gone through a, outside of the like nosebleed high stakes stuff, the like low buy-in home games. I've been to my variety. And now I've played some of the highest stakes tournament poker, not cash games, but you know, I've played some of the highest stakes poker situations. And I will tell you, I promise you, if you cannot beat your local home game with your buddies, your friends, whomever you got invited to, you should not be going pro. You need to, like, that's not going to fix your problems. Okay, play poker because you have the money to invest in it. Play the proper stakes so your bankroll stays alive, and have fun with it. And that's like my biggest advice that I can give everyone. If you're not having fun, stop playing. Okay, even though, you know, that's going to hurt some people's bottom lines and whatever else, like, that's the best advice I could give anyone out there. If you're not having fun playing poker, then stop. Okay, what's up, T Kaiser? Has Moneymaker mentioned he's opening another poker room in Louisville? Will it be affiliated with ACR at all? I don't think it'll be affiliated with ACR if they, based on, you know, the way they have chosen to work their brand, the Moneymaker Tour brand up to this point. So I would assume that. And I know that Chris is definitely looking still and looking to expand, get another live location and continue to build the tour. But I wouldn't know much past that. What's up, Ruffin Mans? Good to see you. And yeah, I feel that, man. Ruffin Man says, wish I had that advice a few years ago. I'm glad I'm sharing it. I hope it really does hopefully affect the trajectory in a positive way for some people. One way or the other. One way or the other. Like what I just said isn't to get people to not play per se. It's to put you in a spot to think about it and think about what you're doing. Because if you connect with the competition and the work you got to put in to be one of the better players in the industry, then that might be motivating for some of you, what I just said, to hear. And while the other ones, you might have needed that push in the one way, like realizing how hard it actually is and can be to make it in the game of poker. Like, okay, cool. Thanks, Drew, for the insight. You know, I was thinking about it for a second, but now I'm not. I'm just going to keep it a fun recreational thing. That's a win, too. The game is fair. The variance is the same for everyone. It's just who navigates it and who studies the hardest. How can you explain the same people over the years continue to win, you know, and stay on top and be the big winners? And you know what the fact of the matter is, everyone's bankrolls and things aren't publicly displayed per se, but who's still there playing those same games? Who's still playing the highest stakes? You know, competing. You could tell by people's energy if they're having fun playing the game and where they progress to. Do they keep climbing stakes? You know, they're growing in one way or another. And we kind of can't really know, but the best players are the best players for a reason. And the variance is the same. It doesn't matter. So the game is very fair. Are you creating the question is, are you creating your own luck? And are you managing the negatives better than the other players are? Okay, what's up there, Aaron? How's it going today? All right, let's check some more hands. If you guys and gals have any thoughts, questions, I'm here to ramble for a while. Oh, this guy found, look at this. This guy found the cold 4-bet jam for 26 bigs with the queen jack suited. This is a pretty jam. They showed, so it shows here. So look at this. I guess we might as well look at this. Are you guys finding this 4-bet jam? Look at this. They have queen jack suited. There is a raise and a 3-bet from low jack, high jack. You're on the button with 26 bigs or 16 big blinds effective. Are you finding this jam with the queen jack suited? Pretty bossy, right? Let me see here. Low jack and then raise. Oops, raise, and then on the button. So a wider jam, but this is based off of, this is not a 6 max example here, but the all in, the 4-bet jam is quite condensed, and they found a little bit of a wider one. So they must have thought that this opponent was going to be folding a high percentage, and they didn't believe my 3-bet to 4 blinds. They thought I had some 4-bet bluffs in there, and they were correct, but they find a nice jam with the queen jack suited. I think he found that jam 4 big blind. Looks sweet. Yep. It was good, and they showed too. So that was some like good data, because I'm trying to build up my thoughts on people's interpretation as this is becoming more common. I'm really curious as far as how is people as a whole, how are they going to view this? And now this is a $300 buy-in from an assumed capable player who's playing very strong regular stats, 28, 24, 12 through 379 hands. They just understand how to play poker well. They understand how to apply pressure. The stats show that, and their jam shows that. So it's good for me to see this here, actually, that the more aggressive-minded players are going to, it seems like, assume that you have some 4-bet bluffs here, and maybe the less experienced players are going to view this small 3-bet sizing as strength. I've felt both sides of this, mostly when I see a random person that I don't know right now online making a 4 blind or a 4.5 blind 3-bet. It could be very balanced. You know, maybe the Brazilian players are finding some of these 3-bets, but I think most Americans are not going to be finding these like smaller 4 to 4.5 blind 3-bet bluffs. And I'm being very aggro with that statement. It's just like a country tendency as a whole. I think that's a real thing in online poker. So I don't want any Brazilians to feel away. I don't want any Americans to feel away. This is just me talking strategic poker. The trend is what it is. You know, everyone's aware of country reads at this point. So yeah, that's some good information. Now we got ace queen. We raise it up, and this is, by the way, final two or three tables of this $320 50K that we got second in. Raise, get flat, check. Oh, did I just fold turn? What is this? This feels really weird to me. I'm not sure. Oh, I wanted to, okay, so that makes sense. I wanted to see, I mean, I actually still, even though my checking back flop makes sense, I just don't see why I folded here. In this moment, it doesn't really make sense to me. I got to call at least once. I mean, I can't just assume he's just like turned to flush here and he's just betting. I don't think he's betting a jack per se, and I don't necessarily think I need just a 10 in order to have the best hand in this situation. So I don't know. It feels like a very tight fold here. Interesting. Okay. Well, the GTO lizard isn't working, so I'm going to just continue to talk about hands. And I'm going to replay the hand history, and the theme has been just kind of like open thoughts, so I'm going to continue down that theme. Balanced Range wants to know, do you think that variance of live tournaments gets offset by softer players else pursuing live poker tournaments as a living would be insane as tourneys are slow and you can only play one at a time. I think that yes, so balance range, I think there's a huge skill gap between the majority of live players and like an experienced online player. As like a broad statement, I think that is accurate without a doubt from my experiences on a number of levels. So now, as far as figuring out, like, the variance feels different in live poker because your sample is so much smaller. But you know what? In my sample over the last few years, it feels like you have such a really good opportunity to game select when you're playing live poker. It's whether or not you are going out for like a good story, a good time, or you are looking to be profitable, or you are chasing bracelets. I think people are going to pick different tournaments. You know, it's convenient, it's in your buy-in range, whatever. Like, there's a lot of stuff to consider when playing live poker and thinking about variance. But for the last few years, and I could just be on the positive side of variance, though I do believe that I make enough adjustments that at this point it's not just a fluke or, you know, some positive variance. With that said, I think about, like, I want to, and a lot of the time I have action out when I'm playing tournaments, and I want to try to make money, make runs as often as possible. And I do think that I don't prioritize like, oh, I have to win a bracelet, a WSOP bracelet, even though that would be amazing. Like this summer going in, I plan to play at the Orleans, the $300, whatever that they end up having. They'll have like a $300 50K and some other like low buy-in tournaments. But you know what? The Orleans is not flashy. It's not the win. It's very old school, Vegas vacation, right? And the people that you will play against there will probably be some of the most inexperienced players that you have seen in a very, very long time. I will be there. I will be trying to take advantage of that and have fun and try to like win a bunch of money there, win another trophy. Like, I do play for, even though I don't play specifically for bracelets, I play for trophies. I play for titles for sure. Like, I want to do that and win. And then, of course, you know, make money. But there are just like some soft tournaments that you can pick that are not very flashy for a number of reasons. Maybe it's not like a huge guarantee or whatever, that I would rather play because I know I'm going to cash this. I'm going to have a big edge versus the field, and I'm going to make money. I'm going to have a deep run. I'm going to have a shot at a trophy here, a high percentage of the time, a much higher percentage of the time than if I'm playing, for instance, the $300 Gladiator WSOP event. That's going to be so hard to win and make a deep run. I'm going to be firing because it's going to be sick when it happens. But I'm going to have all these other tournaments that I will be playing outside of some of these WSOP events in an effort to have another profitable summer and to help weather the variance of these high entry field tournaments that fall into my buy-in range. So I think it does matter. I think game selection is massive. Let's see. What's up there, Renaissance? How's it going today? Shout out to the lurkers. Let's see. What's up? It's Ginge. Says, played for the first time in Vegas back at the end of April in one of the circuit ring events and placed 27th out of 600. Not bad at all. Congratulations, Ginge. That's very cool. Very exciting as well, especially as your first experience making a deep run in a live tournament. Ooh, right? That energy, the excitement. I was like, oh gosh, we're so close. You're one tabling. It's much slower. It's much more real, I feel like. Try GTO Wizard again. Mine is working now. Let me see. Okay, let me try. Oh, mine is working now. Okay, cool. Oh, so it's definitely something with GTO Wizard. Mine seems to be back up. Okay, we're gonna dig back into this then. Let's try it again. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Waku-san. Yo, what's up there, Poker Leran? How are you? Chilling, studying, talking about poker. Enjoying everyone's company. We're going through some hands from a second place finish for me the other day. Okay, so I know what this one is. What do you think, everyone? There is a, we are sitting. Oh, I remember what was interesting about this one. This was final two tables, everyone. This is final two tables of a 50K guaranteed. We are sitting, I can almost put this situation back together fairly well. We are we're like middle of the pack. We're middle of the pack right here with pocket fours. There are three shorties. This might, 3 or 4 shorties to kind of paint the picture a bit. There's a 10.6 big blind jam, and we have 33 blinds with pocket fours. What do you think about this spot? What are you doing? Let me see if I can pull this up here. Let's give the lizard a try. What do you think? What do you think? Poker Laurent says folding. Navy Chief says fold the 4-4. Betting AR says jam. What's up, Charlie? Good to see you. Okay, now here's my thoughts before I look at the output. This cutoff jam, while it is approaching the final table bubble, also, I do believe this is, no, we were in the money at this point, never mind. I was thinking of a different situation. This is a capable player. Their strategy was a bit more on the tight aggressive side. They're playing 18-13-7, so definitely on the tighter side. So that's notable. And they finally found a spot to jam. They jammed 10.6 blinds. Now that I'm looking at their stats, I'm kind of leaning towards fold. Based on that and remembering the game flow, they were just fairly tight. I was expecting them to make moves sooner than they did a couple of times. Renaissance, thank you for the follow. So I like fold now, but I will say if this was a very aggressive, capable opponent here, then this for me seems like a decent opportunity to try to pick up some chips and build a stack to get to the final table. Because a few study streams ago, I mentioned playing low and middling stack poker on a final table, given ICM considerations, is not fun. It's just not fun. I don't want to be there anymore. I was in a situation where I was in that spot, deep in I think it was like another 50K or something. I forget exactly what the tournament was, but the strategy I was supposed to play, I was around there. What I did in real time, but then in review, it's like, dang, I'm actually supposed to play like this. You kind of, if you're not, I feel like incredibly or quite studied, let's say, with some like final table play, I think you will connect with this. The best way to say is kind of how you have to play those like low and middling stacks is like afraid, right? And it's not fun. So thinking about that, I would rather bust out. I think I'm leaning towards these days busting out final 2-3 tables, going after a thin spot, because the upside of me having a bigger stack, being able to punish final 2 tables, take advantage of situations, go into the final table with a bigger stack, it is so much more fun. There's that word again. So much more fun to play a bigger stack at a final table because your strategy is so much different. It is not playing from an afraid. It is playing very unafraid and very brave. And that is a much more fun poker game to play. So with that in mind, I like getting it in here in a situation versus a wider 10 big blind late position jam. I'm going to be risking a third of my stack. Even if I lose this, I will still be very competitive and have a lot of fold equity. I'll have like 20, 21 big blinds or whatever. So the downside is not that bad. I still have a great opportunity to make a run in this tournament, while I could have had an opportunity at having a much easier run. You know, like, okay, I'll take it. So let's see what the output is. What's up, Never 3 Putt? Good to see you. Let's see what I did. Boo. No, I like this because this opponent I said was like tighter and everything, but I still like the idea of the jam. Let's see what we got on the lizard. The lizard says fold 100%. Fold 100% is what it says, okay? So what are we calling? What's the bottom of what we're calling here? So this example is showing cutoff and big blind, but do keep in mind, I don't want to keep switching back. I've been doing it to six-handed and having to type it in. We haven't been able to utilize this because it was down for a little bit earlier in the stream. So I'm just going to make a note of that so that we could develop a general baseline, because honestly, thinking about this spot, we're thinking about calling pocket fours versus a cutoff jam for 10 bigs. And it's important to be specific, but honestly, compartmentalizing the 6-max spot, like how many 6-max tournaments are you playing online? How many 6-max tournaments are we playing live? The range is going to change. People are going to be playing wider. Some things are going to be slightly different, but I don't think it's necessary that we are... I'm just going to run this as it shows as eight-handed, and I think it's going to give us a much better visual to go on in the majority of the situations we're going to be. But just noted, I know it's six max. So here is, in this situation, big blind. Oh wait, we're small blind, right? Oh, this thing got ahead of itself. No. Let's see. So there we go. Let me just make sure now this action is correct. Folds cutoff is all in for 30. No, let me rewire this. I guess, whoops, geez, now that I'm rewiring it. No, we'll stay here. Average stack depth is probably about here. I need to see it with 10 bigs. I don't know why this is being annoying. MPT. Okay, I'm just gonna reset this. It's already like in a mode. Okay. I feel like it's not all the way back. It should be giving me those choices, those stacks. All right, the bottom here is sixes, though. The bottom is sixes. We saw that. All right, so here is a spot. Another big hand between Nate and I. I think he was chip leader at this point. There is, I'm raising my king jack suited here in the cutoff. We got a flat. There's a squeeze for 7.38 blinds. I think my hand's too strong. I think I'm too deep, and I don't want to 4-bet, even though maybe this is a cool hand if I wanted to kind of just take it down here to use the 4-bet bluff. But I think my hand's too strong to fold in this situation. I got a call. I don't want to just jam. This isn't one of those situations. If I was getting 3-bet here and I had 25, 30 big blinds, probably thinking a little bit more about just jamming, taking it down, getting their ace-x 3-bet bluffs to fold. So I did go with the flat. We go to the flop, and our opponent bets a third of the pot. Not going anywhere. Any reason to raise? I think we could probably put some reasons together to raise here, but it would be with history and not versus, let's say, unknown opponents. I think it's going to be much more standard to just call. We'll plug this in a second as well. Turn, bets a little over a third pot. Has played, hoping we keep our opponent's bluffs in. Also, we just call. And then the river goes check. And in real time, I remember my thought process. It was, if this opponent is playing a GTO strategy, theoretically sound, I have seen quite a bit of suggestion for them now to check like aces and kings here if they happen to have that, because the majority of the draws on this flop have now missed out. And if they assume that I'm playing a theoretically sound strategy when my king queen and my 8-10 suited and my queen 10 suited, my ace 8 of hearts, my ace 5 of hearts didn't 4-bet and now has missed, when they check those big hands here, I'm supposed to be bluffing all in. Like, I have that range. So when I saw the check here, I was like, you know what? I don't know. I really don't know if my opponent is in that headspace, but I know it's a thing. So based on the fact that I guess if they have nothing, they're folding. And best case scenario, if I were to bet here, that I could hope that they have is queen jack suited that they bet twice and they're now checking. Maybe a jack 10 suited that they bet twice and now they're checking. Feels more like queen jack suited. You know, did they 3-bet pre with 10s and then bet twice and then get to this river? You know, then I like jamming as value because my bluffs would have to be that, as I just said. So then if 10s is in that space, then, oh, they're going to have to call sometimes when I go all in, even though if their better calls are probably like 8s and 7s, because they don't want to be blocking my queen 10, my potentially 8-10. If I have that, what else? King 10 suited that I might call too, especially for the sizing that they chose. I ended up checking, and he had ace queen, and we picked up a very notable pot at this stage in the game. 54 blind pot on the final table bubble. Let's see if we can learn a little bit more here about this situation. Okay, so this spot is not supported, so it looks like I'm just gonna continue forward. I would have to run a let me see here. Six. What do we start this hand with? Most people don't check over pairs there, I would think. I agree with you, chess is best game. I agree, most wouldn't. I'm aware that the strongest of players, the most studied players will or should be finding that, because like I said, I've seen it, and thinking about how I just talked about it, I mean, you see it too, right? Like, we should let those hands that missed try to bluff now, and it's awesome because they're going to think that you just bet twice and you had nothing, like ace queen, and now you just check giving up is what our opponents are going to be thinking the majority of the time. So why would they not be starting to bluff their king queen and queen 10 in that spot? What's up, Airwalker? How's it going? Okay, so what are we, about 50? Let me see here. Oh, we're actually like faux-handed. We're faux-handed. Cut off, raise. So here is the big blind strategy in this situation. Ace queen suited. C is a 3-bet, which they did. And then hopefully we get an output. Okay. I'm like all on the fence now about this stuff not working now. And then here's us in the cutoff. So at a deep stack depth, look at this, man. It likes a jam with the old king jack suited. Who would have thunk? It wants us to just rip the old king jack suited in here. And this is one of those things where me seeing this, it's just like, I don't think this is necessary. I just don't think this is necessary to jam. In this example, we are versus, yeah, look at this. The 3-better, they're assuming has 72 blinds in this spot, and we have 84, we cover. And versus the big blind squeeze here, it wants us to rip it in their face with the king jack suited. And I think that's just not efficient, especially if you think you have some sort of an edge. But mathematically speaking, it's showing profit here based on what it thinks our opponent is squeezing out of the big blind. So yeah, I'm just not going to find these ones. These ones, okay, whatever, ace king, let's rock out for a big pot. These ones, of course, but it does show that it has an all-in strategy. I would probably, versus the majority, especially if I'm playing live poker, I'm just not going to have really an all-in strategy here too much. You know, think about upkeeping this condensed 4-bet 75 blind strategy. It's just like, whatever, you know, I'm just going to play call here like the rest of our range wants to play. King 10 suited, Queen Jack suited, King Queen suited. All of those things, green, it wants to call. So I'm just going to play call. And then small blind folds. Oops. Called. Small blind fold. Okay, we can't. Can't study at that depth. It says no, you cannot, you will not. Oh snap. Okay then. Raise. Hang on 1 second. Call. Okay, it lets us run this. I just had to lower the stack depth. Jack 9, 4 spades. So what I want to see here, we know cracking aces has ace queen of clubs, and so I think somebody in chat mentioned, oh actually him and I were talking about it, and the wonder was whether or not he should just be firing off here. And I think that there is going to be a suggestion for ace queen of clubs to just bet jam, I'm assuming, at some frequency. But how else should we play? What would you do if you had ace queen here in this situation? You just 3-bets, you just squeezed pre-flop, got called, you go to the flop, jack high, jack 9 4 hearts. Let's put ourselves in this situation. It's kind of just like, ugh, right? I missed again. I missed again. Cesarico, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I think we all connect with that. So let's see what this strategy looks like. So we got the cutoff. Opens, we opened, small blind call, big blind squeeze, we call, small blind fold, jack 9 4. Okay, let's see. Ace queen suited mostly wants to check. Ace king suited, ace king off wants to check. The king queen suited, all the combinations is doing more betting. So it looks like we're going to be checking, c-betting, not even always betting our ace jack here when we hit. They don't always want us betting the ace jack. Gigi Mollusk says, I'd check and wait for them to raise. Well, it looks like a good idea to check here. And it's also nice to check here and keep the pot smaller, maybe in a situation where we've missed. You could check call a flop bet for sure. I don't know if we'd be looking to check raise with ace queen of clubs here, but I like the idea of checking and also thinking about my flatting range when they squeeze and I just call. How good is this board for me and how good is this board for them? So look at this, jack high flop, right? And this is what it's assuming that opponent here with the ace queen, what they're 3-betting. So let's look at the jack axis, right? So we got the offsuits here going up. So they're not going to have a lot of this offsuit jack stuff. Not even going to have the jack 8, jack 9, jack 10 off. I'm not even giving the majority of players this. So they don't have a bunch of jacks here. How often are players now, let's think about, how often are they finding the squeezes with jack 10 suited, jack 9 suited, jack 8 suited, jack 7 suited from the big blind? You know, I think population, the majority of players just aren't finding a lot of these 3-bet squeezes in this situation here. How often are they finding it's a couple of jack X, and then of course it's pocket jacks. So when the board comes jack high here, who is this board better for? They don't have this a bunch. So I believe the solver is insisting on a notable checking strategy here. And part of the reason is because this board is going to be better for us. So let's just backtrack a little bit and see here. When we are facing the squeeze, how much jack X do we have actually? Let me see. This is their squeeze. Yep, and then this is our call. And we have some we'll be having this Jack 10 suited, Jack 9 suited more than I think players will be flatting it. But there's not much on the offsuit side. But let's look now at the queens, the other cards that connect with this board. The Queen 10 suited, the Queen 9 suited, the second pair, the Queen Jack suited. We do have a bit more of that in there. The King 10 suited, King Jack off, the Queen Jack off we have here sometimes. So it seems like we might connect with this board a little bit more. Let me see, cut off, flop. And then we're back to the big blind strategy. They do have the King Jack, Queen Jack as well. So let's see, chose the bet line and went about third pot. Guess betting the turn isn't too bad, but the idea has to be to fire river. I think that would definitely be in there a bit. We're going to find out. We're going to explore this bet line with the ace queen. We make the call. Well, let's see here. Remember, I don't think we were doing much raising here, if any. King Jack suited is actually doing some raising from us, more than I would have assumed in this situation. It is definitely mostly call, but then it's a mix. Well, actually 44% call. We could see here with the King Jack suited in our situation on this flop versus the continuation bet, but it is doing some raising and even some all in to, I would imagine the function of the all in here is to just, you know, pick up the 23 blinds in the middle, shut down some of their bluffs, deny them equity when they hit like an ace or a queen on the turn. So there's enough chips in the middle here that we could also jam, take down that pot, deny them that equity, and it shows value to our hand. So that's good to see. Actually, I dig that. Usually there's a line for me. If I'm jamming because I think there's enough to win and I want to deny some equity in kind of like a sketchy board situation here, I don't want to necessarily always just call here, I guess, and then just have King Queen get there, have Queen 10 get there, have Ace Queen get there versus me. I think it's, of course, this is totally fine. But the idea, if I'm jamming because I want to deny equity from some of their hands, is like 15-20% stack increase is usually what I'm looking for. And there's already 23 blinds in the middle, you know, relative to our stack. So like if I have 45 blinds, 30% stack increase is going to be like I'm picking up 15 blinds and adding it onto my stack, right? Like that's like a rough thing. Like, oh, is it worth it yet? And this feels like, oh, okay, it is worth it. So that's how I'm going to compartmentalize some of these jams that I'm seeing from the top pairs. These are top pairs, by the way, King Jack suited with no flush draw. When we do have a backdoor flush draw here with the King Jack of spades on the 4 spades flop, it wants us to just call and get closer to realizing our equity. There's going to be less turn cards now that are bad for us and help us. Even if it's a queen of spades and they do take the lead, we still have some more outs, whereas with these other ones we, you know, won't. So I imagine that's the reason for the shift in the frequencies here. Undercover Rasta and Night Vow, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so let's see. My King Jack suited, I decided to just call. We went to the turn of 3 of diamonds. And now, everyone, what we're exploring is if we have ace queen in this situation and we decided to bet, are we going to look to triple it off on this run out? That's kind of one important thing, I think. If we were playing this side, not our actual hand, if we're playing this one, like how can we compartmentalize this is what I'm thinking, right? If I start firing flop versus going with a check, which is part of a good strategy, then am I going to want to start barreling? And then now big blind here, we are seeing a suggestion for betting with the ace queen suited, specifically the ace queen of clubs. It likes a bet on the bigger side. Here it is about half pot, but it is a high suggestion for check. But betting is still part of a GTO strategy. And our opponent decided to bet. It's a little smaller relative to the size of the pot than the suggestion, but it is ballpark. And now let's see our suggestion here after they bet this. King Jack suited is now, this is interesting to me on this turn. It just wants us to get it in now. It doesn't want us to call again and keep bluffs in. Now it is just wanting us to get in and clean up this situation. We've gotten max. Oh, you know what's okay? So you know what's interesting here? It kind of just hit me in this moment. When we call here, a good amount of their, I guess it's assuming they're going to be shutting down a bit on this river, and our max value that we're going to be able to get is jamming this turn if they happen to have a strong equity hand. Maybe we need to consider if they have, let's say, a flush draw here that they chose to barrel. King, Queen of Hearts, quite specific, but let's think that hand. A hand that somebody will bet and still call here. We need to get it all in here to get max value on this turn for when they miss. But then also maybe they have Jack 10 suited, maybe they have Queen Jack suited here, and there could be some sketchy rivers where we lose value. So we should get it in there as well. And also we now do deny equity. The equity denial is still a thing. If we get King Queen off to fold, even though we're like a big favorite, I mean, these have to be things that we are computing here when we see in this output that on the turn, it, for our King Jack suited hand, clubs, any of them, it just wants us to now get it all in on this safe turn card. So, you know, actually with that said, I am now going to be curious, and I'm going to assume our strategy, if this turn card is not a 3, and our strategy, if this turn card is a 8, let's say it's an 8, non-heart, let's say 8 non-heart, I'm going to then assume on that turn card, well, heart is going to be, let's look at heart and then let's look at 8, because I'm assuming that this all-in strategy for our King Jack suited is going to shift pretty big. Let's first look at, I think it's going to just move to call like when this turn is a heart. Let's say 3 of hearts. And where's our King Jack suited? Is that on us? Cut off? Yep. Okay, so now it's not full frequency jam, and we do see more calling, but not as much as I thought. It still wants us to jam a lot. So we did see a shift, but it still mostly wants us to jam. Turn opens up more straights, making board more dynamic, which is why it wants to jam King Jack, says Kennedy Live. Okay, so let's that's a good point, because they are going to be 3-betting the ace-5 suited, for instance, and now pick up a gut shot. So maybe this is more of, as far as their total range. Let's change this 3 card now to more of a, let's make it like a 6. Let's see how this changes when this is just a 6 of diamonds instead of a 3 of diamonds. King Jack suited, so changes a little bit, but I still think that what you're saying, Kenny, is probably in space there, like in our space, why we're jamming. A lot of equity denial on this turn. I'm surprised by this. This is good to know. This is good to see. And yeah, I'm definitely going to compartmentalize this, because I do see a lot of good players get in on these turns in some spots more than I think I have subconsciously programmed in my mind. Because when you figure out, oh, I need to bluff catch here, it's easy to kind of commit to bluff catching 3 streets, but I'm not jamming enough on this turn, I think. Like right off the top in the feels of this moment and seeing the output that we have here, I don't think I'm jamming enough here, and I've definitely seen it happen before by better players. So I need to compartmentalize this more. This is really good to see. I'm glad we brought this up, and the way I'm kind of backtracking it is based on, let's see what they're betting and that it wants us to jam here on the turn, like all the time with our King Jack suited. So it's assuming that our opponent is, look at this, betting King Queen, all their King Queens. So here, when it wants us to jam turn, like all the time with our King Jack, the reason for that is I mean, well, let's see here. Let's determine the reason. It looks like the king queen suited, it's assuming that they are always betting, because we need to find hands that we beat here, basically. Otherwise, why are we jamming turn? It's got the ace queen betting, the ace king betting. Okay, we're looking for non-green color. So on the turn, it's assuming our opponent's betting ace king, ace queen, king queen, king jack, of course, queen jack, jack 10, jack 8, that it has these hands in range. The queen 10 offsuit, the jack 10 offsuit, the queen 8 offsuit, the ace 8 offsuit, the ace 7 offsuit, the king 7 offsuit, the 7-8 suited, the 10-8, the 10-7 sometimes, 9's a sliver, 10-8 offsuit is in here, like whatever this is. Yeah, sizing is different. But so that makes me think about this now too, because if it wants us to jam our king jack suited here like all the time, it's because our opponent is betting a lot of that stuff that is not there yet, that we want to deny equity and just clean up right now. And then also probably just like run our equity versus the queen 10 offsuit that's probably bet calling open-endeds. I imagine bet calling, they're not bet folding. Queen jack is it's probably assuming that when we jam turn, queen jack off is calling all the time. Let's see here real quick. Let's explore. Let me go back to the, actually that doesn't matter changing this, I don't think. We go all in. Let's see what it's assuming that they're calling here on this turn. So it looks like it is assuming that they are when we jam turn. So this whole dynamic of jamming the turn here, it's also now assuming they're betting all of that stuff that is bluffs that are trying to get there. And it's also assuming that they are betting and calling when we jam with king queen suited. So the gut shot, it's assuming they're never folding the gut shot when they bet there. Okay, I think that's not gonna happen, especially with 30 bigs left on a final table bubble playing for 13k. I think people, if they chose to barrel king queen offsuit here, that they're not going to be, this is what GTO is, that they're not going to be calling. I think if they're betting king queen, we jam here, they fold. All right, so I see the value there, but they're seeing the value as of jamming the king jack suited, not from an equity denial, but it's assuming here that they're just calling those gut shots, and I'm just not with that. And this is so funny, and it's so many levels, because it's like, it's assuming they're calling with the gut shot because it assumes that we're bluffing. It's assuming that someone is bluffing in this situation on the turn, and it has this opponent. There's so many levels. Calling the gut shot, calling all the king queen offsuit, calling all the king queen suited, has it never folding queen jack. It has it actually folded the jack 7 suited that it happened to bet on the turn. I am noticing that. But all the other jack X that would continue barreling turn, it has not folding to us. So the function of this is there's worse hands that are going to call us when we jam this turn a lot. That 3-bet us pre-flop. This is a very interesting spot, depending on if you're a live poker player or an online poker player now, because this turn jam suggestion is based off of a lot of things happening, like them never folding a top pair. There are some scared, tight live poker players that are going to fold ace jack here when you jam the turn, and they're going to show you, right? And they're going to be right sometimes. You're going to have that set of 9s that you called flop to be sneaky, caught yourself a good turn, and now you jam, right? So it's very, very interesting, actually. You're welcome, Wahoo-san. I'm rambling. I'm glad you guys are catching something here. I'm just in my zone thinking as if I were studying. You know, I'm not really trying to memorize outputs. I'm just trying to get inspired to think more about why, and then in practice, is that real? Is that like what's actually happening? You know, how do I want to be calibrated here? Mostly calling flush draw with the king queen. No, all of the king queen suited. Look at this, Kennedy. Is king queen suited when they have the heart draw? Yes, it has them calling all the time, but even the king queen of spades call. And what you're seeing here on screen is this call 100 is call 100% of the time after betting. This is the what they're giving us here. So yeah, the king queen of hearts is definitely not betting and folding this turn. So very, very interesting. Let's analyze, continue down the road we were going. And I'm just going to call instead. And then we're going to go to a river 6 of spades. So let me put this actual board. And then 6 of spades. And now here's the question. Should the ace queen, after choosing bet, 3-bet pre, the question is, are they going to squeeze, c-bet flop, barrel turn? The question is 54 blinds in the middle. Should the ace queen go all in on this river? That is the question we are seeking right now. The big blind and the ace queen does have some all in with the ace queen of spades, but then it just wants to give up otherwise. Big blind wants to give up. The ace queen offsuit, give up. Yep. Ace king offsuit, ace king suited. Okay. So if we want to compartmentalize this, we don't necessarily have to feel compelled to just triple off here on the river, even though tripling off is going to give me, we'll look at it. We'll see if I'm supposed to fold king jack or if we should just be calling versus, you know, educated, high thinking opponents. Because versus players, if you identify an opponent as an opponent who's just playing very ABC 1, 2, 3, then when they go all in on this river after squeezing pre-flop, bet flop, bet turn, and they jam river, they just have aces. They just have aces, they just have kings, they have queens. Right, and they have no bluffing range, essentially. They're not bluffing all in. So you kind of got to determine your opponent, you know, because then at that point, I'll probably just fold king jack on the river if this opponent were to go all in and I'm at like a rounder's $200, 150K, right? I'm just going to fold there and sleep pretty good at night. So what hands should they be firing off on the river? What are their bluffs? And it looks like their bluffs are going to be some king queen suited. So they're going to be bluffing their king queens. See the red? The kings and queens are jamming for value on this board. So we're not going to look at those. 10 jam is interesting. The 10s jam is really, really interesting. I don't know that I'm ever finding this one. I guess this 10s jam, well, this 10s jam is probably a bluff. Trying to get a jack highs, hands like mine to fold. I don't think that this is not a value jam where they assume that they're getting called by a 9. So I assume this pocket 10s jam is a bluff. These jack 10s might be bluffs too. Actually, it's going to be tough to think about getting value from like 9x here. See, now looking at what it is assuming they're jamming, it really makes me wonder if they think that 9x is calling in this situation. Yeah, because see, it wants all in with the jack 8 suited, jack 10 suited. 10s, this is very interesting. Queen 8 off is a bluff. King high is a bluff, trying to get some ace highs that I might have to fold. The 7-8 suited that they have here is a bluff. So it's assuming they have some bluffs. Now I'm really curious, especially with the weak jack 10. I like these as so much more as a bluff catch when all the draws miss out, especially if I think I'm up against an aggressive opponent. So it has to be thinking, gosh, is it bluffing with these, or is it value? The question is it bluffing with these types of hands here, or is it value betting versus 9x? Let me see. I'm going to pick all in and see if I'm calling with 9x. It does have us calling. Yep. It has us calling with 9-10 suited, but that's like it, right? It has us calling with queen 9 suited, king 9 suited, ace 9 suited. If our opponent were to jam here, the solver, based on the amount of bluffs that a GTO opponent could have, it wants us to call with 9s. So now that's why the jack 10, all the jack highs are value jams. The pocket 10s, this makes sense that the pocket 10s are a jam for value. It's kind of sick, actually. If you have enough experience, it's kind of sick to think about, because there are going to be some situations where you're going to be up against that opponent who's jamming the king queen offsuit, queen 10, thinking you're not going to be able to take 3 streets and they're going to get a fold, right? And you have to think about calling a 9x. But I think the majority of like low mid stakes players just are not going to be bluffing enough when they go all in on the river here, that we don't need to be calling the 9. And I think in practice versus average competition, we probably should calibrate and have our default a little bit different, especially playing a 300 Gladiator, a WSOP, versus, you know, Jimmy from Arkansas or something. I don't know. Old Man Coffee. All right, we probably just fold our 9x, probably just fold our Jack X on the river because it's aces or kings. You see, and that's where this game is fun, man, and just so intricate and deep. Because even if you know and you like look at the theory and study it, you got to think about like what's actually going on in practice, because this is all, like it was said earlier by the chat, this is all math and based on how it's assuming the opponent, or it's assuming that the opponent is responding in a theoretically sound way as well. But when that variable changes, our strategy changes, as we've seen when we've changed variables. So it's just so interesting, because even if you have the cheat sheet in front of you, you have to know how the equation works and know when to deviate. It's just like that, and that's what makes the game so fun, in my opinion, is it doesn't have to be boring and like cookie cutter. Like, there is a touch, you know, you can be an artist with it in senses. But yeah, okay, so let's see. And then we decided to check the river, which is probably like not a thing, but I just didn't know what I was value betting versus if I jam. And I only wanted to play jam here. I did not want to do anything but jam in this situation on the river. I chose check. Let's take a look at it. And the reason I chose jam or check was I was unsure. But again, also let me see actually, because I remember the reason I checked here, if you watched the stream, was because I said that I think our opponent should be checking aces and kings here sometimes, because I should be bluffing a bunch of my missed stuff. So I played, I guess probably the best way to say it is played a little scared that he could have aces or kings here. Maybe, yeah, aces or kings primarily checking. Let's see if there is a suggestion in theory, though, for checking. Let me see here. That call, river is 6 of spades. And what I want to see is aces or kings checking here at all. Look at this. So big blind should be checking aces 100% of the time. It wants the big blind in this situation. Squeeze, bet, bet. It wants, if you have aces in this situation, it wants you to check 100% of the time. So I feel better about my check now and my idea of it. It wants even kings checking sometimes, so it wants kings mostly to jam. Let's see what else. It wants ace jack here to check the majority of the time to bluff catch. Ace jack offsuit. It wants our best hands to check and bluff catch here. And it wants kings to mostly jam, but a little bit of checking as well. Even king jack off is doing some noticeable checking, jack 8 suited. So checking some good hands here and some nutted hands here on the river out of position as played because of all the missed draws versus an opponent who is capable of bluffing is a good idea. And I'm happy to see it because I checked here. I'm happy to see it because I checked. Oh, we got 8 minutes out. We're 8 minutes out till our heads up match. Landizzi, Zach, I'm going to get it to you in just a second. I actually have to go to the bathroom real quick, everyone. It'll be like 1 second. I'll be right back. Hang on. in and don't know, our Wednesday night home game league just ended, season 14, 2 days ago. And for the first time in 14 seasons, there was a tie between Landizzy in the chat and Zach Attack. So they're going to play a heads-up match to see who gets the trophy, who gets their ACR username engraved on the trophy. This would be Landizzy's first title. This would be Zach's fourth title. So we're going to sweat their heads-up match and see what happens. You guys, by the way, are going to be starting 100 big blinds deep, 5-minute blinds. There's a password to get in. It's free. We're going to sweat you guys and see what happens. So you're getting a little bit of an encore or bonus on this study stream today. So that is happening, and I'm going to give them the password now. Let me just double check, boys. I'm going to whisper you guys, okay? Make sure you have your private. Starts in 5 minutes. Gentlemen, I'm going to whisper you the password, but type BetOnDrew in your search bar, and then you're looking for the BetOnDrew Season 14 trophy match. Don't forget to hit the private button. Okay, so we're going to sweat this. Let me give the guys the password so you guys can get in. Zach, I have whispered you. Landizzy, check your Twitch whispers. I am sending you now. Let me know and confirm once you guys have got in. Okay, I'm going to hang on to this, everyone, because it does start. This is a scheduled event. So it will start in less than 5 minutes. I need you guys to both be in there. All right, I sent it to you. For those of you enjoying the stream, by the way, if you want to play ACR, you want to compete in my home game league, you want to practice online, compete for some nice money, you can go to betondrew.com. It does support me in the stream. If you could, when you sign up, you'll see the download poker button, download ACR on the top of my website. But when you sign up and you create your name, use the code BetOnDrew so that they know you came from me. And I appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. And anyone who signs up today and creates an account, I'm going to give you 11 bucks. Okay? 11 bucks on ACR free. Just email me, betondrew@gmail.com with your new username, and I'll send you 11 bucks if you just want to check out the client, you want to splash around, whatever. Okay, so let's see. I know, honey, I thought about that. It would be cool if we could see their cards, but there was like too many moving pieces for me at the time, and I didn't really have too much time with everything else going on. So I really wanted to see their cards too. And it could have, if I had more time, manipulated it. If it was tomorrow, I would have had enough time. But yeah, we're just going to have to sweat them. What's up, Hubie? How are you, buddy? Okay, Landizzy is in. Yes. Great idea. Let's wager some points. Everyone, you can gamble your channel points on this heads-up match. So check it out. Zach, make sure you register here, buddy. Let me know when you're in. Who will win the heads-up match? And be champion. Oh no, not Zach or LOL, man. Okay, you're gonna get 5 minutes to put in your guesses. We're going to sweat this heads up match. Go ahead and put in your guesses. Zach is in. All right, game. I wish I could gamble my channel points here too. All right, good luck, everyone. All right, let's see. I'm going to pull this up. The boys are in. Oh, look at this. This is cool, man. The boys are in for the season 14 title. Lola Man, oh no, not Zach. Who is going to be the season 14 champion and enter into the home game Hall of Fame? Oh no, not Zach. Did it the last 2 seasons. Does he go back to back to back? And 4 out of the last 5 seasons, he would have won. That's some boss stuff, man. The Dynasty. Let's see if Landizzy, though, if he can have it see otherwise. We will see here. Okay, so this is exciting. They are starting in less than a minute. Once the table pops up, I'm going to pull it up. We're going to sweat it. And then I think I only have a couple more hands on the study session. We will, what time's around this tournament? We'll rip through some more of those after, depending on how long this heads up match goes. But I appreciate everybody hanging out. If you're watching on YouTube and you enjoy the variety of poker content that I've been putting out, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitch, you enjoy these study sessions, more to come. The next one's going to be Monday, and I will post my schedule on my Twitter and my Instagram. So if you enjoy the content, again, if you could follow me there. All my names, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything, Twitch, it's all BetOnDrew. If you want to stay connected, you can go to betondrew.com to check that all out. All right, here we go. Get in your wagers. We have an encore performance here for the season 14 home game title. The champ, Zach versus, Zach versus Lola Man. Two friends stream. Bang, bang. They're starting with 100 big blinds. I will do some commentary. Go ahead and put in your predictions, everyone. Who do you think will win this heads-up match? You have less than 3 minutes to do it. Less than 2 minutes to do it. Wager your channel points. Try to spin up your channel points. If you get to 50,000, you get an entry into our home game league on Wednesdays. Get to 100,000 channel points, you get an $11 entry. So bottom left here, wager your points. Who will win? Pick Oh No Not Zach or Lola Man. So boys, if you're listening, I'll try not to talk through strategy. I'll just do like live stream, yeah. I'm gonna take a different flow with it. First big pot of the day, 24 blinds. We see Lola Man with a 10 blind bet. 2 sixes on the board. King high flop. We did miss some of the action, but what happened? What up, Boots? Why did it just close that? I'm gonna gift you the sub. Good sir. Are you guys still in the game? Kicked me out for some reason. Switch tables for some reason. That's weird. Okay, hang on. Switch tables. Come on. Come on now. Okay. We're back, everyone. Do what? What would switch tables? Get a grip. Okay, still in. Good, guys. Okay, good, good, good. Messed up my flow. Okay, here we go. So the two players, both of these players scored 31 points in season 14 of our home game league that runs Wednesday nights. I do a no delay stream. Show up 15 minutes early to the stream. I give away entries into our 3 games. The $11 freeze out, $5.50 PKO, and the $2 PLO. And the money gives you 1 point. Final tabling gives you additional points. Both of these players earned 31 points last season, and they're playing for the trophy. I'll be meeting Lola Man in Vegas end of this month, along with Zippy Gold. Ooh, we got a big raise. 49 blinds in the middle, and a call. And they both have the straight. They both have the straight, so they're going to chop it up. Yeah, join us Wednesday nights for our home game. This could be you one day. On your way to Vegas, playing for a trophy. How often do you get a chance to play for poker trophies? Especially with your username to put on the mantle. I'll give you a chance. And you just got to compete. It's just Wednesday. That's the only day of the week we need you. Wednesday, 3 games. The games finish within a 4-hour window. If you win, it goes about 4 hours. So even if you have work the next day, 8 o'clock Eastern, you can start heading to bed about midnight if you end up winning. And you know, it'll be easier to sleep that night if you ship to tournament. Ketonius, you think so? Ketonius thinks that his luck on the prediction is going to change because the table switched after he put in his prediction. What's up, Steve Al? Good to see you today. Good luck on your prediction. Let me see what the numbers ended up being. We got 65,000 channel points in the middle on the prediction. So it looks like everybody who voted on who would win, 60% of the channel points wagered on Oh No Not Zach, but 9 people were a little bit less confident or less of a channel point bankroll bet on Lola Man. So it feels even. It feels quite even here for the audience watching right now. More points for winning. Yep. So it goes, it's kind of flattish till you get to the top Sacramento. It's the no limit games. It is 1 point for in the money. Well, that's all the games. But then the no limit final table goes 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. Then it goes 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Then it goes 4, 5, 7. 7 for first place. So we see Lola Man taking down first couple of pots. He's got a 30 big blind lead at this point. Blinds have gone up. 95 blinds. This is really cool. How often do you get to play heads up like this and battle for a trophy? They're playing heads up for a trophy, everyone. This is awesome. 2 players who showed up every single Wednesday to our home game. Battle. Here they are. Lola Man is a freshman, though. This is Lola Man's first season. And he ends up getting heads up with the end boss, Oh No Not Zach. See a 3-bet pot here by Zach. 6, 2, 4, 2 clubs. Zach continues. Nice, Sacramento. It'll be cool. Yeah, tell wifey, you know, I just need like 4-ish hours. Wednesday night, I'm going to compete in Drew's home game league. If I show up early, you know, I might win some free entry into the game. Can win prizes, big tickets on ACR. It's a great community, very positive Wednesday nights. It's a no delay stream. It's very interactive. We got a huge pot here, 64 blinds in the middle. Zach has continued his aggression. Lola Man has called down. Zach checks the river. Check. Get to see these. The ace 9 is good. The ace 9 is good. Huge pot. That's our biggest pot right now. Ketonia says he looked like such an underdog. I just tossed 10K at it. I like that. I like that play. You got to be conscious of that. Especially with the way the predictions work. You know, you get based on how many channel points you have invested on your guess. So if you guessed no, or let's say you guessed Lola Man, right? And let's say of the people who wagered on Lola Man, you had 30% of those channel points invested. You'll get 30% of the winnings of whatever was invested betting on Zach when Lola Man wins, you know? So betting the underdog is kind of just fun. I feel like betting the underdog is always fun. Lola Man raises flop, and Zach gets it in. Lola Man folds. 3-1 chip lead. And this is US versus US. This is Central United States versus Western United States here. What else? What else? Gentlemen, gentlemen. We got the freshman versus the All-American, the OG. Zach is relatively new, but he's come in and made noises. I think Zach's been here playing our home game league for, this is his potentially 5th or 6th season, I think. No, well, it's already 5 there. Yeah, potentially his 5th or 6th season. We're on season 14, so he's been here about half the time. He's definitely approaching OG status. But OG, Hoser Hero, he's been around for a long time. CND, Ginger. Those are kind of some of the top OGs that have won early seasons. Change title, okay. Sweating, heads up. Challenge. For season 14 trophy. Okay, I fixed it. Thanks, honey. East Coast has to work Wednesdays, unfortunately. Well, Ketonius, like I said, the games don't run longer than 4 hours. So you could play and be done by midnight. We have over the years discussed that and talked about that. And ooh, we got a 4-bet all in on a call. We got 3s versus 8s. 8 on the flop for Lola, man. And Zach does not hit the 5. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was quick. Lola Man is going to be our season 14 home game champion. GG's, Zach. GG's, Land Dizzy. And GG's, guys. Great season. And congratulations to the freshman. Land Dizzy is going to take down the season 14 title. And he is going to get added to the Home Game Hall of Fame. Zach is still a champion, a multi-time champion who made an incredible run again this season. So shout out to Zach and congratulations, Land Dizzy, on the bank. Hey, Land Dizzy, will you still gotta get up with me so that we can get you sorted for the package? So can you shoot me a message however we communicate? I think it's mostly like Instagram, right? Get with me so that we can get sorted on the details. And I know that Zippy Gold is, I'm pretty sure, already sorted on details. We were talking. So they're getting ready to head out to WSOP. Land Dizzy will get coordinated and get you out there as well. And the points. Let's release the points. Let's do it. Prediction. There we go. Choose outcome. So your winner, Lola Man. So we got 39,000 channel points going to the right. Lola Man, if you guessed that, you were correct. Boom, boom. There we go. Congrats. Very nice. Bink, bink. All right. Very, very fun. Let's look over here. So we finished this hand. We're going to check. Oh, I don't. Whatever. We'll see. Let's rip through a couple hands here, and this will take us to the end of this tournament. Ace 5 suited. We have King Queen suited here. We decided to call. How did this hand go down? Check. They bet a quarter. I call. Check, check. The river, I decide to check, and they just give up as well. And we pick up a nice pot. So here, this hand, I imagine, how did I tag this? I tagged this one or post flop. This is post flop ICM situation. What's up, Mr. Poker? How's it going tonight? Okay, let me see here. MTT, ICM. This is a final table situation. We are sitting 4-7 handed. So fresh at the final table. And let's go. What is average stack depth here? What are we looking at? 50 effective. So let's like look right here. Button low jack. Okay, that works. All right, so we have a fold, I raise, button 3 bets, and then big blind folds. It gets back to me in the low jack. All right, so let's just dig in here. SPR on the turn, the king jack of clubs hand. SPR on the turn. There you go. It was on the turn 1.5 to 1, 1.4 to 1. Cracking Aces has 42 blinds. There are 30 blinds in the middle. GT, no. Okay. Okay, so let's see. First off, we are now looking at this situation. We opened on the final table, king, queen of diamonds, 7-handed. We're 50-ish big blinds effective. The button 3 bets us. What do we want to do with king, queen suited? We can't see their hand. We've already showed it, so whatever. We'll just run through it. So no guessing in this one. King, queen suited. It just wants us to all green. This means just all call. Just call this all the time. We're not looking to 4-bet in this situation. The hands we're looking to 4-bet are going to be very strong in this situation with ICM implications versus another big stack. So yep, we just call. Probably just call everything for the most part. Yeah, we do a bunch of folding. As you can see, the blue is hands that we raised, but we would fold to a 3-bet. So you can see there's a lot of folding here. And then next decision is a lot of calling, and then there's some raising. So we just call. Flop comes king 9-7. We check, and they bet small. Let's see our strategy with king queen suited. So we call, and then oh, well, we're gonna change to, what is this? Oh no, we're not gonna get a solution here for this with ICM. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to. Is there an upgrade to get the solution here? To go post flop with this? All right, so what we can do then, let's just do this so that we can continue down this thought process. We'll just do chip EV since it doesn't want us to do that. It's less interesting. ICM is more interesting to study, but I guess we don't have it at that depth. Chip EV, yeah. So I guess we'll just, to continue this thought, raise, 3-bet, call, king spade, 9 clubs, 7. What's up, JR Betting? Good vibes, buddy. Good vibes. All right, so everything that we have here, we check to the 3-better. They see bet 3 into 14, so they went with the smaller size. So their strategy when they 3-bet us here is on this board is going to be just betting. You can see they're not doing any checking. So if you 3-bet button, you are 50 big blinds effective, you get called by low jack, then you should just be betting everything you have. Basically, you're not checking this king 9-7 board. That's what we are getting there. Button bet. And then now we have king queen suited. We'll look at this specifically. And look at this. It wants it to raise. We saw this in another example where I wasn't thinking about raising flop in a 3-bet pot with the king jack suited when our opponent had ace queen suited. I wasn't thinking about raising flop when we hit the jack high board. Now we see we hit a king high board, and there is heavy suggestion for us raising our king queen suited. So that's going to come down to, now I feel like on such a dry board, it's assuming that we're not turning our hand into a bluff here. Basically, when we're raising here, it's because it's thinking our opponent has a bunch of worse hands that are still going to call our raise. So that's interesting because there is a programming. It's also to the small sizing. That's also notable. So let me actually change this and see if we were facing a bigger bet size, half pot or 3/4, how much we go from raising the pink with the king queen to just calling. Let me see that. Let's say it was half pot. Okay, our strategy still has us raising quite a bit versus half pot. Let's see if it shifts at 3/4 pot. At 3/4 pot now, it is just, the solver is so confident in our hand here on this board that it seems like it's not even, as we're facing a bigger bet, it's not shifting to calling, thinking that their range is more nutted. It's actually now just having us go all in because of how much more dead money is in the middle. But look at this on versus the small bet. Look at ace queen suited. You see versus 3/4 pot, we are seeing we're folding a lot more of our ace X that we have here. So look at the aces. Now though, if it's a 4-blind bet, look at this. We're doing much more calling now and floating with backdoor spades, backdoor hearts, backdoor clubs. See these? Folding the ace queen of diamonds because we don't have a backdoor diamond draw. But when our opponent bets small here, we shouldn't be folding our ace queen with the backdoor draws. But if it's a 3/4 pot bet, now we're just folding it. See how, depending on what sizing our opponent selects here, how our strategy noticeably changes. Very interesting. Cool to think about from your stance if you're in this situation, even though betting a 3rd pot is really cool and easy these days. The way people are supposed to respond to it is different. It can be vastly different. So thinking about navigating a tournament again, the common theme we're talking about, it's like, I think about this quite a bit. It's like, man, what do I actually want to happen here right now? Like, what kind of spot do I want to be in? I'm not always super focused on the GTO, the bet size, and thinking about that, but I'm thinking about GTO functions, as in, we bet smaller, opponents call more. We bet bigger, they fold more. It's just the way the math works. It's the way they're programmed, and it makes sense. Even if they're not like one of those players, we subconsciously know, oh, that's a bigger bet. That's more of my stack. Oh, I might be facing a bigger bet on the turn. It's like, okay, do I want to send that message in this moment or not? And now the conversation of balance. If you're playing live poker, people aren't seeing your hands. You're not on a live stream. People are literally never going to know what you have. They're not going to, unless you show down a hand that, like a bluff or something, and then you're just like, people aren't gathering that information and go like, you know what? This guy's not balanced. This guy's completely unbalanced, right? Like, that's not going to be a thing that kind of comes up. So you can manipulate that and kind of be, you know, if you're just like a random person, somebody who doesn't play a bunch, right? You can just manipulate that situation. Bet smaller if you have a big hand, potentially, on like a semi-dry board like this. You have top set of kings or whatever, let's say. You don't want to lose your opponent knowing it's going to affect the wizards and the lizards the same. When you bet bigger, they're just going to fold more. Maybe just don't bet big in that situation. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? But bet big if you think it's a calling station who doesn't fold any pairs when you bet. You know, now you're making a mistake betting small. You should have been betting big, maybe even over pot, if you think that they have a worse king and they're just like always calling you. Do you see? So a little TLC with the poker. Have that TLC. Okay, so it doesn't even like just call here. Holy, blunder, I guess, by me, huh? Even though if you look real close, look at this. If you look real close, look at this green thing here. Look at this. Okay, I'm going to click this. Look it over here. But it does say call sometimes. You know what I'm saying? 6% call. I found it. I found the low frequency. I pride myself on the low frequency raises that I find. But I think I need to also pride myself on the low frequency calls. No? That's a thing? No? I don't think it is. I'd rather raise now. No, I actually still don't mind call from a navigational standpoint. And also knowing that this is final table. ICM is in effect, and I'm playing versus a bigger stack with a bunch of other shorter stacks. I would have to assume, even though we couldn't get the solve for it, I have to assume we're calling more than we're raising here. We're not trying to just play with 13,000 up top, 6 people from it. I don't think that we're going to be playing a lot of raises here. So yeah, we make the call, check, check, turn. And then the river is, maybe I blocked bet, but yeah, we just check, check. We win a nice pot there. Let's see what the, okay, this is, I don't know why that's in there. I don't know. Why did I tag these two? Oh, these must have been, someone else did something. Hang on a second. Check this out. Someone else did something in this hand. Oh, okay, no, I don't know why I tagged that one. That might have been a misclick and me wanting to tag this hand. No. Okay, I guess I misclick tag hand sometimes. GT, no, yeah. Navigation in tournaments, thinking about how you're trying to set yourself up, I think it carries a notable weight to where if you were to write something down on paper, you're one of those people who I kind of am. You could probably assign your own personal value to navigating a tournament and playing a theoretically sound strategy in GTO. Like if you put them kind of in buckets and think about, man, I place, like when I'm making a decision, maybe your thought process starts at, what do I think is the theoretically right play? Okay, and then now, do I want to put myself in that spot right now, knowing if theoretical play is this, but I'm going to get more calls? Do I want to bet small and potentially induce some more raises in this spot? Do I want to bet big and try to get this opponent to fold more, force their check raising to be much more honest and stronger range so I know I can get let go? Am I up against a pro? Am I up against a player who I think is never raising me? Right? Because we're navigating hands on a hand-to-hand basis, but then we're also navigating the tournament. So this like decision here plays an impact on the bigger picture. So it's very fun to think about, but I think about that stuff a lot. Also breaking down a tournament, it's like early, we could break it down like late registration period, post late registration period, money bubble period, post money bubble period, final 3 tables, final table is in sight period, you know, maybe ICM is starting to come into consideration more. And then final table bubble, you know, the pressure is different. It feels different. Well, final 2 tables, and then it feels different. And then final table bubble, it feels different. We've all just combined to the final table. The real money is now starting to be made. How do we navigate that situation? What is our stack at the time? Are we big stack? Are we short stack? Are there other short stacks? Now you got to navigate that situation and understanding your strategy. If you're like a smaller middling stack, you know, you're probably gonna have to play tighter in some spots. If you're a bigger stack, you get to destroy the table and do whatever you want, right? So now, how do you want to manage those points of the journey in a tournament? I think that's what I think. Poker is fun. I think it's intended to be fun. If you enjoyed this stream, please hit the like button on YouTube and don't forget to follow on Twitch. I'm going to get some rest. I might go late register the 10K free roll at Rounders Card Club. If you're in the San Antonio area, by the way, Rounders has a Memorial Day tournament, a $200 150K. It's going to be a trophy event that is starting in just under 2 weeks, May 22nd, and the final table is on May 27th. So yeah, that's news. I leave for Vegas in about 2 weeks. Gonna pack up the car, head on out. I think I will be posting some action on State Kings if anyone wants to sweat for some events here and there in the summer. So keep your eyes posted on that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Congratulations to Lola Man for winning the heads up match versus Zach. Zach, great job again this season. That's it, everyone. All right. I'm going to go. I'm going to chill. I might eat. I might play. I'll keep you posted, though. So I hope you enjoyed this study session. Thanks again for hanging out. Cool Dad, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, good vibes. God bless. Peace. See you later. Thank you.